If you pay $79 for the VIP ticket, what you're going to get in return, free drinks, free food, a free book, a lot like me from Larry Elder, the world-famous book about his dad. He's going to sign that for you. We'll take pictures. We'll take a tour of the beautiful Allman in the Morning studio, and you're going to get a great show from that gorgeous stage. It's Allman and Elder in the evening. Tickets available not only at the VIP level, but also at the general admission level for $13.80 at the AnswerSTL.com. Allman in the Evening, sponsored by my friends over at ThrottleNet, your full-service IT support plus security. ThrottleNet.com is where you find them.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise.
Hey. Happy Thursday to all of you, and good morning this morning, everybody. It's raining again, but look at how it's beautifying God's green earth, people. It's helping. It's good. We love it, even though we'd like to see some sunshine soon. So anyway, hi there. Coming up, Bridget Van Means, who is the president of Thrive, is on a big fundraising. I really like her. She's been involved in helping women make the positive choice of keeping their babies. That's really what a lot of people in the pro-life movement are all about these days. And I have always been that way, where you can do all the legislation you want protecting babies. But let me tell you something, nothing's better than providing women with all the tools they need to choose life. So that's what Thrive is all about. She's going to be on at 8 o'clock. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And also, if you didn't hear from Thurston Clark, the author of Honorable Exit, about our heroism in the Vietnam War among military as well as civilians, you're going to really love this interview. And so I'm going to make sure that you hear that at 6:30. Also, Father Tom is going to be in for kicking off his every Thursday, 9:30 a.m. segment. And I don't know what I forgot what we were going to call it, but we were going to, it's always going to be about something with a level of religiosity to it. We're going to just kind of talk about faith and things like that. No matter what your faith happens to be, that's what we're going to be. We're going to be talking about with Father Tom, who's awesome and usually leaves Mass and will come right to the studio. So he's stoked, he's filled, he's ready to rock and roll. So good. Oh, and Jim Talon's going to be joining us at 7:35 as well. I'm going to begin quickly before we get to the bar situation. I'm going to begin rather locally, and I'm going to begin with a question I asked on Facebook last night. And this is a question that I have for all of you regarding this Ladue police shooting. And I'm going to give Wesley Bell the benefit of the doubt here on his intentions with clearly overcharging this police officer in the shooting of this alleged shoplifter there at the Schnucks in Ladue. I'm going to give Wesley Bell the benefit of the doubt that he doesn't want another community, and I should probably specify this time white community, but he doesn't want another community to burn this summer. Because the problem with charging this police officer with a felony assault, the problem with charging her with felony assault is that there's a chance a jury's not going to convict her. In fact, there's a really good chance a jury's not going to convict her. There's a really good chance this police officer is not going to be convicted of this felony. So you're going to have a trial. You're going to have all the protesters. You're going to have the Darren Wilson thing all over again because you've overcharged a cop. You've went too far because I think you have an aggression towards cops. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you think you're doing the right thing. So far, the woman who is the alleged shoplifter, nobody really talks about that aspect of the story, unfortunately, on what was going on at Schnucks, when apparently there were a lot of people in the same place shoplifting. Anyway, and they still can't find one of them. And I don't know where she is, and I wonder if the family knows where she is. So far, though, the family of the woman who was shot has been very gracious. They've been very nice. They even said that they forgive the police officer and don't want, trouble and this kind of thing. And I understand that. So far, the family has been gracious. But when is Al Sharpton going to pop into town? Well, or it doesn't have to be Al Sharpton. When are some of the more nefarious elements of the Black Lives Matter movement going to start popping around? I already saw them outside of Schnucks the day after the thing happened. They were all a bunch of these white left-wing people with Black Lives Matter posters. What's going to happen when they get a hold of this story and when they start to juice this thing? Because at some point, the family's graciousness isn't going to matter if everybody around them isn't gracious and is trying to convince them that they got to make a thing out of this. This was clearly a mistake. The police officer, based on what I've been able to glean, has said that she thought she was pulling her taser and pulled her gun instead. She's been around for 13 years. That's a pretty big mistake to make, to pull a gun instead of a taser. But I don't know. We don't know what was going on. The woman, she was trying to arrest her, and the woman fled, and there was an altercation, and so who knows what's happening in the heat of battle there. But this isn't felony assault. And there's not a jury that's going to convict this police officer of felony assault. So what's going to happen when the jury doesn't convict this woman of felony sexual assault? Well, she's not going to be convicted at all of anything. And then what's going to happen in Ladue? What's going to happen to the Schnucks? What's going to happen on that little I-40 Lindbergh corridor there over the summer? So I'm just throwing that out there. This isn't, I think that, and again, I am going to give Wesley Bell the benefit of the doubt that he believes as a prosecutor he's doing the right thing. I think we'll attempt to have him on at some point to talk to him about this, because there are some people who believe that Wesley Bell is a crazy radical. I've interviewed him before. I don't really necessarily think he's a crazy radical, but I know that he's got a lot of people around him who are, and who are pushing him in a certain direction, and who elected him and who feel he owes them. Because basically he was elected in large part by people who have been agitated over Ferguson. Bob McCullough lost the election because of Ferguson. Wesley Bell won the election because of Ferguson. We can't take that out of the equation here. So I'm just telling you, I'm warning you, this is going to be trouble. And now, unfortunately, even if there's a plea bargain, it's going to be trouble. Once you start this ball rolling where you say, we're going to charge her with second-degree felony assault, that's it. It's got to happen that way. It's got to go on. It's got to go down exactly the way it's charged, or there's going to be a you-know-what storm. That's the problem. That's the box you put yourself in a situation like this. And that's the box Ladue is in right now, believe me. If there was some effort on the part of authorities to try to keep this from blowing up, they certainly don't seem to have made any kind of effort at all to keep this from blowing up. In fact, they've added explosives to it. Just saying. Your thoughts on that are welcome. You can call the Tammany.com real estate listener line at 844-855-1380. But there's going to be trouble brewing. And it's going to be bad. And again, they might go ahead and get her and convict her on a on the second-degree felony assault, but you have to assume that she's lying and that she intended to shoot this woman. That's going to be impossible to prove. Just saying. And I hope Wesley Bell didn't know that going in, and that this is going to be a thing that kind of elevates him and that he's going to hang his hat on. He's got his first police shooting. And you realize that while he was running for office, he said he promised that he was going to refer all police shootings to what? A special prosecutor, remember? That's what he said during his campaign. The first time there is a police shooting, he reneges on his campaign promise and decides to handle it himself. What do you think's going on here? Just saying. He said every police shooting is going to be handled by a special prosecutor. That was what was also helping propel him. And he did it this time. The first time it happens, he takes it on. I'll do this. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. And then he overcharges her. So we'll see how this thing works out, but I'm not optimistic. And again, I'm not questioning, I'm not accusing Wesley Bell of inciting a riot or doing this kind of thing. I'm just telling you, just do the math, and this is fraught with trouble. Jim is on line one. Jim, thanks for calling the show, my friend. How you doing?
Yeah, Jamie, I'd like to hear your comments on this thought that I have. There's very, very little very, very little spoken about the obligation of the citizen, and here we're talking about the shoplifters, and shoplifters plural, to obey the law and to live in a manner that is positive to our community and not negative.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't litter, we don't go to the bathroom in the street and stuff. We do things that are at least neutral. But really, we owe an obligation to the community to do what is positive. And here we have people who are constantly, and I mean constantly doing things that are against the law and that are negative, that are tearing down our community. And somehow the police, who really, are supposed to protect us from, bad things. Why are we coddling? As I used to say years ago,
yeah.
Criminal.
Well,
I'd like to hear you talk about it. I'm going to hang up and let.
All right.
Thanks,
Chip. They don't ever mention. They're not mentioning the alleged crime. Was that her schnooks? Again, you're free to shop anywhere you want to. In this world, I'm not saying that you have to shop at your schnooks or your Deerbergs. I mean, I've been. My Deerbergs is in one place, and my Schnooks is in one place. If you had to call it my Schnooks or my Deerbergs, but I've had plenty of times where I've went to a Deerbergs in West County. So I mean, you can go anywhere you want to, but was she? And she doesn't have to explain why she was at the Schnooks either. But I'd be curious as to know whether or not that was her store, or what compelled them to pop in there. I'm just asking. You don't have to answer to me. It's none of my business why you were there, unless you were there to steal. Then it becomes my business. But we'll see how it goes. But it's not going to. I don't think it's going to work out very well in the end. Wesley Bell overcharged this police officer. She made a huge mistake. A lot of it inexplicable. It's hard to explain how somebody could pull a taser instead of a gun after 13 years on the force. I don't know. But you're going to have to prove that she intended to shoot this woman, and it's going to be impossible to do that. And a felony second-degree assault charge, she'll be found not guilty, and then just imagine what's going to happen there. And they can't. And again, I'll repeat myself one more time. They can't plead this down now either. They can't have her plead a misdemeanor assault or anything like that. And obviously we hope that the woman recovers, and we wish her the best and her family the best. The family has been very gracious so far, and I appreciate in terms of the injuries and that kind of thing, the pain they're going through. I get it. But this is trouble. And I don't believe I think the family's graciousness is only going to go so far until Al Sharpton or one of his mini-me's starts poking around here. That's what happens. That's what happens. Just saying. I'm going to take a break here, come back. The news media's behavior yesterday in the wake of this Barr hearing was just reprehensible. The behavior of the Democrats at the Barr hearing, reprehensible. And we've got tons of examples of that for you, too. And I'll take your phone calls at the calltammy.com real estate listener line, 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We still have a pretty nice looking day. Of course, that flash flood watch still in effect, and we could see more precipitation later today. But for right now, we are accident-free and delay-free. A lot of construction. 141 southbound from Manchester to Gravois, road work until 2:30, and 141 southbound after Marshall, road work there until 2:30 today. The King Bridge remains closed in both directions with construction until the end of September. And with the on-ramp from Grand to westbound 44 closed with roadwork until the 1st of July. Traffic is sponsored by TrainInfo.com Heating and Cooling. Enjoy comfort year-round with a new Train heating and cooling system. At Train, they test, so it runs. For a limited time, you can get a great deal on a qualifying new Train system. Visit TrainInfo.com to find your local dealer. That's TrainInfo.com. It's hard to stop a train. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Michael Proctor, the most famous window treatment guy in town here. And in large part, it's because Michael Proctor is so assertive and so passionate about what he does. It's because he's everywhere you need to be. 7 days a week, he'll come in on a Sunday. He's got his mobile design unit. He'll come right into your home or your office. He's got an interior design flair, so you don't have to pay an interior designer. He's got all the variety you could possibly need. I know with the sun beating down as we get into, it beats down in the wintertime too, but in a different way. But with the sun beating down in the summertime, he's got the solar view shades. You know, sunshine, sun rays can bleach your furniture or your floors, that kind of thing. With the solar view shades, they look beautiful, and you can't even tell that they're kind of blocking out the damaging rays, so they keep the light coming in. So that's a specialty of Michael's. The Norman shutters he loves, and those are coming all kinds of different blade widths, everything else. Then he's got the motorized shades, which you're going to love. You could be like James Bond in your office or your home. It's outstanding. And he also makes a big deal out of Common Sense Radio and Allman in the Morning, as evidenced by the fact that he put up a billboard right there where all the Cardinal and Blues fans see it every single day. Up there on 40. I've gotten more comments. I think there are two of them, but I've gotten more comments that people have seen the billboard and everything else. And I'm standing there going, hey, got shutters? And he's promoting the show because he loves the show, and he's one of you. So for all your window treatment needs, you want value, you want luxury, and you want it at a value price, and you want a person who's going to do it all for you, a one-man band too. He does a great job at it, 7 days a week, convenience, everything else. You want somebody like that to be your guy, your window treatment guy. Proctor's that guy. Proctor Drapery. Proctor spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com.
I am Welby Torres, owner and lead tech at AirTech Automotive. When a job well done is out of here and you see this customer's face lit up, you can't fake that. And that's satisfaction to me. What am I working for? To treat every car like I treat mine.
At ADP, we're designing a better way to work so you can achieve what you're working for. HR, talent, time, benefits, and payroll. Informed by data and designed for people. Learn more at design.adp.com.
At the Y, it's about more than sports and working out.
It's about making my community better.
Living a healthier life.
Spending time together as a family.
It's where I go to learn and play after school.
The Y strengthens communities
by helping kids reach their full potential, encouraging healthy living,
and inspiring social responsibility.
Get involved. Find a Y near you. Visit ymca.net.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. a teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Sunrise, sunrise, looks like morning in your eyes, but the clock's held 9:15 for hours. Sunrise, sunrise, couldn't tempt us.
Happy Thursday morning to all of you, and coming up, I just want to give you a special treat that you might have missed yesterday, and that's the interview with the man who wrote a book called Honorable Exit. And it adds a whole new light on the Vietnam War, and it's beautiful. So I want to share it with you. I'll handle this bar thing, too. I've got some really crazy media malpractice to lay on you, too. I want to get Jeff's call here on line one. He was gracious enough to call the show. Jeff, how you doing, friend?
Hey, Jamie. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning to you, my friend. What's going on?
I'm calling in about not only this recent shooting, but these other police incidents and stuff. What everybody fails to remember is, our criminal justice system is based upon compliance. If you disagree with what the police officer is accusing you of, your recourse is through court. It's not through resisting arrest or fighting the officer. Once somebody resists arrest, the officer is not just going to say, okay, you can go away. You can go. You're free. No, once you resist arrest, you put things in motion that are out of your control at that point. And the only thing that you can do to remedy that is to stop and surrender and comply. But until you comply, once that officer effects an arrest on you, whether it takes one officer or six officers, you're going to go to jail.
Yes.
How you go to jail is up to you.
Well, they haven't even charged her, the person who allegedly shoplifted. So, that's even odder. And so it seems like they're acting as if this police officer was just running around a Schnucks parking lot hunting for black people. And it just, and that's fraught with trouble. And I believe that fueled the overcharging of her. But you're right. I mean, it has to, the society relies on people who will cooperate. And clearly, and here's the thing, under those circumstances, then do you not, like if she broke away, do you not give chase, or do you not attempt to stop her, a person who's committing a crime? Because right now, if you gave chase in a car, you would make every effort to stop that person who was fleeing. I mean, they put up spikes in roads. They've done whatever, even crashed their cars into another car to keep it from fleeing. And using a taser, if that was her intention, is precisely defensible in a situation like that. Tasers can be used to stop somebody, not just to stop a threat. And that's got to be, shooting somebody, you have to have a threat assumed to you. But a taser, the requirement is not that somebody's threatening you. Sometimes you have to just simply get somebody to a point where you can cuff them. So that's perfectly defensible to use a taser. The fact that she didn't because she mistook it for a gun is another problem, but that's not intent to assault somebody. I think I'm right about that.
And just speaking on cases in general, I mean, television has really done a lot of bad things, for law enforcement. Anywhere from the CSI fantasies on what can be done to, if somebody is going to resist arrest, I don't care if it's a woman and the officer is a male. If somebody does not want to be handcuffed, it is very, very difficult to do that without hurting somebody.
Right.
just have somebody lay on the floor and clasp their hands together and lay on top of their hands and try and get their arms apart and try and put them behind their back. It's nearly impossible without, with just one person.
Yeah. No,
but there's cultures of people that are taught from early on to run from the police,
right,
to resist and fight the police.
Right.
And, you can't expect to have a civil society when you have one cultural segment of your society or two cultural segments of your society. They're taught to fight the police.
Exactly. I got you, Jeff. I got a break here, buddy. I appreciate you calling the show, and you're absolutely right. And this is a woman with 13 years on the force who just a year and a half ago was cited as a hero for saving somebody's life. So we'll talk more about that as Common Sense Radio.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. After a long day before the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, Attorney General William Barr will not be testifying today before the Democratic-controlled House Judiciary Committee. Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido calling for a nationwide general strike in a bid to topple Socialist President Nicolas Maduro. However, it does remain an uphill battle for the opposition in Venezuela. Due in court today, the suspect in the deadly shootings at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. Last night, thousands of students and others packed the school's basketball arena for a campus vigil for the two people killed. This is the National Day of Prayer, and the theme of this year's event, focusing on love. The theme, love one another. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are higher. Dow futures up 29. NASDAQ futures better by 15. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We're still accident-free and delay-free right now. We might see some more rain later today, and we still have a flash flood watch in effect for the St. Louis area until 7 o'clock tonight. Road work, lots of that. We've got Tower Grove closed in both directions under 44th, construction until the end of the month. Drivers can use Van Deventer or Grand as alternate routes. The King Bridge remains closed in both directions with construction until the end of September. And your exit ramp from eastbound 70 to Madison closed with roadwork until the end of September as well. Traffic is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, their grief is unique, but you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call their 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect through this evening. Cloudy with a couple of showers. Thunderstorm early today, high 69. A passing shower this evening. Otherwise cloudy tonight, low 54. Cloudy with a passing shower tomorrow afternoon, the high 66. And then Saturday, a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise a cloudy day, the high Saturday at 66. I'm Steve Williams with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
We know you're out there hiding in plain sight, living a life of quiet desperation, wondering if you're going to beat your money to the grave. There's a better way, a better life at Lifestyles Unlimited. It's time to live the life you deserve. You can only do that by creating passive income. Let us show you how. It's just 2 hours. It can't be worse than another meeting about meetings or another mindless night in front of the TV. Go to lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. That's lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Health insurance premiums making you sick? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I have the answer. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency serving Missouri and Illinois. This is non-Obamacare, and you can enroll anytime. You don't have to wait for open enrollment. Why should you have to pay for maternity coverage and pediatric dental care if you don't need it? KDDI-INS.com. KDDI-INS.com or call Joyce at 877-695-0245. 877-695-0245. This is the answer. This is the solution. KDDI-INS.com.
You love that smell, that new truck smell, all cleaned up and ready to go.
Did you get your vent visor?
You know, the rain guard that goes over your window? Stop by Custom Car and Truck in O'Fallon, Illinois for free installation and lifetime warranty on vent visors.
How about your bug shield? You don't want to mess up the hood of your new truck with dead bugs. Keep them off the hood with free installation and lifetime warranty bug shield.
See John and the crew off Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois,
or online at customcarandtruck.com.
America's first news with Matt Ray gets you up to speed mornings from 4 to 6, right before Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Thursday to all of you. I want to go ahead and cover some of this bar stuff before we also get to the revisit of one of my favorite books of the year now is the Thurston Clark book about honorable exit about the Vietnam War. Man, it's a gift to all of us who have suffered through the people who continually try to remind us that those were our worst days and spit on all the Vietnam veterans and everything else. So we're going to follow up on that. I'm watching CNN take a major dump on the national stage with this ridiculous poll. It's like they are in Fantasyland over at that garbage network where they've lost, by the way, another 25% of their audience. They are the worst of the worst. They're the ghetto of cable news, if you want to call it that. They're the burnt-out building of cable news. I'm surprised they're paying anybody over there. That place is a wreck. I don't know how they're still. Nobody with that kind of performing that poorly could ever exist. I mean, if you were selling a soft drink, or if you owned a restaurant that performed as poorly as these guys did, it would have been closed a long time ago. Wow. This poll, you should see it and laugh your rear end off. Phil and I were watching them reveal on the TV that Beto O'Rourke has a 10-point lead over Donald Trump in a hypothetical 2020 election. Ha! What a bunch of crap that is. There's no moron in the world who could possibly believe that's true. And that Mayor Pete has a 10-point lead over Donald Trump.
What was the Elizabeth Warren one?
Oh, Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, 47% to Trump's 48%. Are you friggin' kidding me? I mean, these people over there they're just sitting there sucking their thumbs so hard because they just want things to be so much like they're not. It's unbelievable. What a bunch of liars over there. That CNN poll is a I don't know who they're polling, probably their own viewers. Because if you're still watching CNN, you're an idiot. I see people sometimes, well, I shouldn't say it, but I've never seen anybody at the gym, and if I do, like some of them might request to see MSNBC. I mean, it's actually more defensible to watch MSNBC than it is to watch CNN. It's actually more defensible to watch MSNBC than it is to watch CNN. Here's an example. Jeannie Moose, who looks like a cross-dresser on CNN, and she's been around for 70 years. This is the level of their reporting we got on the element of the hearing there where Lindsey Graham was on fire. Here's how they turned that one around. Listen to this.
It's not what you usually hear at a hearing.
Trump is a idiot.
Senate Judiciary Chair Lindsey Graham dropped the F-bomb while quoting an FBI agent's text to his then-girlfriend. Graham was trying to demonstrate the agent's bias.
Sorry to the kids out there.
Sorry to the networks covering the hearing live.
About 90 minutes ago.
By the way, trying to demonstrate the agent's bias. Did you get that? I mean, that was demonstrating the agent's bias.
A little bit of language slipped by us, and for that we apologize to our viewers down the line. We can thank Senator Lindsey Graham for his candid response there.
But the people most thankful for the F-bomb were Trump critics.
Of course.
Nice of Lindsey Graham to have created Trump is a bleeping idiot memes for years to come.
Trump is a
Cue the remixes.
Trump is a idiot. Trump.
My new ringtone is Lindsey Graham saying Trump is a bleeping idiot.
Yeah, her new ringtone. That's a reporter on CNN who just said that's her new ringtone. These people have no shame. This is unbelievable. But when they're not coming out with polls that are completely ridiculous and completely made up, they're coming up with this kind of stuff to pacify themselves. So Jeannie Moose, who misses her other pantsuit friend, Hillary, comforts herself by having that as her ringtone.
Though definitely not safe for work. I just accidentally played this in the office and everyone around me laughed.
Of course. Unbelievable. This is CNN. When I was a kid, they called themselves the world's most important network. Now they're not worthy of anything. But that's the kind of reporting you're getting. And yesterday it was all over the place. It was unbelievable. And by the way, did you catch Chris Wallace on Shepard Smith's show? There's a war apparently within the confines of Fox News where reporters now are making veiled critiques of their fellow opinion people when they don't need to. Chris, we know you're a reporter. You don't have to take shots at Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Tucker Carlson, even though they're kicking your rear end in ratings. But, man, did you see that thing yesterday? Shepard Smith decided he was going to take on the actual let's pretend I'm the Democratic Party, and Trump is out there and Barr's out there, and then Shepard Smith proceeded to do his show for an hour. Then you got to deal with this Neil Cavuto character who is insufferable because he interrupts everybody right before they end their sentence to act like he's being contentious, but actually you're just interrupting people at the end of your thing. But we'll talk more about that. I got a break because I want you to hear about this book, which is a great one. Honorable Exit. Gives you a whole new perspective on the Vietnam War. All that is straight ahead. This is Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Thursday traffic continues to be in pretty decent shape. However, due to an accident on the ramp from northbound 367 to eastbound 270, there are ramp restrictions. This is the traffic sponsored by Express Services Incorporated. 255, just a half an hour between 55 and 270. But at 44, it's only 40 minutes. 101 Cross Street. Looks all right on 55 at 40 minutes, 67 and 64. 64, I have an hour with 70. 50 minutes. That westbound crash right before 370 been taken care of. Taking care of you with a delay-free drive time of 10 and 20 minutes respectively. 170 and 5570. The traffic sponsored by Express Services Incorporated. You are the heart and you know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. Jen Shimmick with your St. Louis Metro Traffic, 1380, 105.3. The Answer.
Greetings, St. Louis. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. As a longtime supporter and sponsor of the Allman in the Morning Show, my goal as his trusted advisor is to make sure that you are in good hands. My team of agents and I know how to make sure that you get the best value for the money you spend on your insurance. Our quotes are free, so let us show you what we can do to save you money or give you the peace of mind that you deserve. Folks, there is safety in numbers. I urge you to put the power of Allstate, America's largest and strongest insurance company, to work for you. Call 855-QUOTE-ME.
It's about with over 100 million video views, singers and viral sensations, the Ball Brothers are the next big thing in Christian music. Come hear them along with the tight, rich harmony of the Taylors at St. Matthew Church in Belleville, Illinois. He goes before me. Friday, May 3rd at 7 p.m. Tickets are $20 in advance and $24 at the door. For further information, visit theballbrothers.com.
Hey, Don't just listen to Allman in the Morning. See the show at theanswerstl.com. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
I'm really pleased and honored to have Thurston Clark on the air with me. He is going to be in St. Louis tomorrow for a book signing and event at the St. Louis Public Library. That is tomorrow. Now, I will tell you something about before I talk to you about this book called Honorable Exit, which is a beautiful book about the last days of the Vietnam War that reveals the acts of American heroism that saved more than 100,000 South Vietnamese from communist revenge. I will tell you something about the fact that I have direct knowledge of someone who directly benefited from this, and he is the owner. He's the one who opened up a really great Vietnamese restaurant here in town that has been open for some 25, maybe even 30 years, called My Lee, and it's in Brentwood, and it is really an amazing restaurant. And I got to know him and his son, Quee, over a period of time, and Quee now is running the operation. It was the first time I went in there, and he used to listen to the radio show all the time, and still does. And I went in there to pick up some to-go food, and I got out there a little early, and so we talked a little bit. He was great. It's the first time I ever had a 33 beer. If you've never had 33 beer, it's really good. It's Vietnamese beer. And he sat and told me the story about how back in the day he worked for the U.S. military as basically a spy, because he was one of the few South Vietnamese that knew the North Vietnamese dialect. And so he aided, and he was in the military himself, he aided the American military. Well, he was one of those individuals who managed to get out because he almost certainly would have been incarcerated and possibly even executed at the end of the war as the communists sought revenge in the aftermath of that. Thurston Clark, in his book, Honorable Exit, tells many of these stories. And Thurston Clark, it's an honor to have you on the show. Thank you very much. How you doing, my friend?
I'm just fine. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, there was a fascinating story, and I actually had no idea he was part of a larger operation. He just was telling me that he was managed to get out. So what kind of stories are you telling? And let me ask you this, too. What compelled you to dig into this?
Well, a couple of things. A few years ago, I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago, I happened to read an article about immigration, and it mentioned kind of offhandedly that 130,000 South Vietnamese had fled their country during the 6 weeks preceding the fall of Saigon to the North Vietnamese Army, and that almost all had been flown to relocation camps in the United States and put on a path to American citizenship. And this story resonated with me because a close friend of my daughter's in our small community where we live in upstate New York, he'd been deployed to Afghanistan as a officer in Army intelligence, and he came back afterwards and said he was very concerned about some of the African interpreters who had worked for him, that what was going to happen to them. And so this made me want to kind of look into this whole story. And I found that that what happened was that it was a really kind of uncoordinated action by a lot of Americans, many of them in the military who were in Vietnam in the final weeks of the war, to get these people out. And they some of them put them on transport planes that were leaving empty. They smuggled them onto the planes. They had to smuggle them into Tan Son Nhut Airport because the South Vietnamese military police weren't letting anybody go without paying huge bribes to get an exit visa. And so, excuse me, this then led me to look at that famous, I started my research by looking at that famous photograph that we all know about, showing a helicopter perched on a roof, in the line of people climbing up it. A man in a white shirt reaching down to help them. I assumed that this was an evacuation from the roof of the American embassy, but in fact it wasn't. It was a helicopter was perched on an elevator shaft in a downtown Saigon apartment building. I assumed it was a military helicopter. Instead, it was a Huey operated by Air America,
And the pilots were all middle-aged American civilians who had volunteered for this hazardous operation. And I found out that as well that a number of the people, they weren't just Americans, they were all Vietnamese. And in some cases, they were children, and the parents would hand up their children to the man in the white shirt, and then they would go back down the stairs. And then I found out more about the man in the white shirt, who was the embassy air operations officer, and he was a fabulous character, known as a gregarious, macho, good old boy, a sub-sipper of renown, famous character in Saigon at the time. And what he did is, after that plane took off, so he could put a few more Vietnamese, and remember, these were strangers to him, into the plane, he rode on the skids of the helicopter and had somebody inside hold one arm, and he had a Swedish machine gun in the other, because they were taking ground fire either from North Vietnamese or disgruntled South Vietnamese. So this was the first heroic story. And then I began to look at more and more and more, and I found that there were just these wonderful stories of heroism. There were 2 Foreign Service officers, for example, who went AWL from their jobs in the State Department and bought their own plane tickets to Saigon, and then arrived and went underground to avoid the embassy security officers who had been ordered to track them down and deport them. And they wore disguises, met their former Vietnamese friends and co-workers in the cathedral at the post office, and they patched together a kind of underground railway and smuggled almost 500 people into Tan Son Nhut and put them on transports flying to the Philippines. And there were dozens of stories like this. I had to cut so many. I mean, I could only do about a dozen in the book, and my editor and agent said, "These are great stories, but we don't have room for all of them."
Okay. This is amazing to me because I'm talking with Thurston Clark, who is the author of Audible Exit, and just in your description there, I have to have this book in my hand. I haven't read it, obviously, but I know enough about it. But let's double back to that picture because, I grew up. I was born in '63, and so I mean that I was a young man, a young boy when I saw that picture, and my whole life up until 8/12 on May 1st, 2019, I always thought that picture was of an evacuation, but more broadly, that it was a picture of American failure, defeat, and a shame. And I didn't know that about that picture.
Well, it was seen as a kind of metaphor for the war, but actually it was a picture of heroism. And even equally interesting is the fact that, that ladder that was supposed to be, that looks like a kind of makeshift ladder or something, it was actually a sturdy staircase that had been put there by U.S. Marines and private U.S. contractors, specifically designed for an evacuation, and had been put there 3 weeks earlier. And it even had guardrails and a small distance between steps to make it easier to climb for the elderly and children and the handicapped. And on top of that elevator, it was an elevator shaft, there was an H painted in day-glow paint to show the pilot where to place his skids. And these preparations were made, and they were made about 12 or 13 roofs, and they were done in defiance of the American ambassador, Graham Martin, who objected to these preparations because he believed an evacuation would be unnecessary and measures like these would panic the South Vietnamese. But the Air America pilots and the Marines went ahead anyway, and they did it. And so this is an example of, in the early days of this evacuation, in the first couple of weeks of April, that this was all done on the down low. And there was a special group out at Tan Son Nhut of American servicemen. There were only 50 left because of at the time, that was all we were allowed to have under the peace treaty with the North Vietnamese. And they set up a whole evacuation operation called the Special Projects Group, and they had routes that they were going to go around Saigon with buses and pick people up, and it all had to be done on the down low because it hadn't been approved by the administration or the ambassador, but they went ahead and made these preparations anyway.
Wow. And one of the things that I think a lot of us here at the radio show appreciate so much, Thurston Clark, and author of Honorable Exit, is what you also do to the story of the Vietnam War. Because here's where the Vietnam War sits in so many people's memories, and we've kind of doubled back on that before, where it sits as a mark of shame, as something we don't talk about, and so many Vietnam veterans actually came back, and so many people involved in the war came back and were either spit upon or were just kind of removed from society. We just don't even give them the kind of credibility and history that many of them do deserve. So what you do with your book here and your storytelling here is you pull out yet another example of how, you know what, there's another side to the story. And indeed, Americans, military and civilian and otherwise, did some pretty amazing things here. In spite of what the politicians were all doing, these were people who took it upon themselves to do a humane task that was right in front of them. And I think many people who are involved in that, who kind of have gone through the burn of constantly being told Vietnam was, oh, I'm sorry you were in Vietnam, or I'm sorry this, I'm sorry that, now suddenly you have given them a story. And I think that's fabulous.
Well, not only that, but what they did, these people, quite a few of them, of course, had served. The diplomats and the CIA officers and others who were in my story, and civilians who were in Saigon at the time, a number of them had served tours of duty in Vietnam and had been disillusioned by the way the war was being run by the Pentagon and the administrations. The decisions were being made. And they felt that they were very upset with what was happening in the last 6 weeks, the failure to come to the aid of the South Vietnamese army, and so they saw this as a way as trying to reclaim American honor at the end of the war. There's a scene in my book where I talk about a American colonel who was at the embassy in the final hours, and there are several thousand people at the embassy. And this man, Lieutenant Colonel Harry Summers, he climbs onto the roof of a soft drink stand in the recreation center inside the embassy compound, and he's shouting through a bullhorn, tells the several thousand Vietnamese who had taken refuge there, he says, every one of you folks is going to get out of here. Let me repeat that. All of you people here with us today are going to be flown to safety and freedom. None of you will be left behind. I will only go after the last of you is left. And the United States ambassador assured me he will leave right at the end. On that, we give you our solemn word. Then he climbed down and walked through the crowd saying, don't worry, and sure you'll get a job in the States. And a journalist who witnessed Summers' performance called him, quote, a man of honor and compassion, writing that he had, quote, taken it upon himself to sweep up some of the dust of America's honor in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And that happens for a number of people throughout the story. I'll give you another example. There was Bill Ryder of the U.S. Military Sealift Command, which is a civilian branch of the Navy that moves supplies around the world. And he and the 6 Americans who were operating these huge river barges that had been taking ammunition up to Cambodia, their employer, Alaska Tug and Barge, had ordered them to leave the country. This is a week before the end, stopped their pay and given them tickets home. And they gathered with Ryder just before the end at the Seamen's Club, and they all voted to stay without pay and in danger and operate the barges that ended up evacuating 25,000 Vietnamese down the Saigon River while under communist fire and into the South China Sea, where the U.S. Navy and Military Sealift Command rescued them and brought them to the Philippines. And all those people were brought to the United States and became citizens. I don't know how your friend got out, but he could have been on one of those barges or one of the planes.
Yeah, I'll have to go double back and ask him, but he just talked about how thankful he was for America, and I thanked him for what he did for the Americans over there as a translator and, for that matter, a spy. Mm-hmm. Thurston Clark, fascinating. All right, so I'm going to interrupt this because at this tail end of this, I say he's going to be here tomorrow, but he actually is going to be here then today. So we did that yesterday, and very compelling interview, really love this story. And after all this time of us being told to be so ashamed of ourselves, this is one time where we can say, you know what? We did a lot of good things there. Walter Cronkite didn't tell us about that, but Thurston Clark did. So good for him, and he was in town tonight at the St. Louis Public Library. Hope you can make it at some point there. And then we'll be back in the 7 o'clock hour with your phone calls as well. Call Tammy.com. Real estate listener line is 844-855-1380.
St. Louis. Dr. Sebastian Gorka will set the record straight.
The things that an innocent man or woman would do to protect themselves, if there is no underlying crime committed, would look a lot like obstruction of justice. But you cannot make the case for obstruction of justice if there was no predicated crime to begin with.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Breaking news. Stimulating talk. KXFN, St. Louis. K287BY, St. Louis.
Warrens he could hold William Barr in contempt because the Attorney General refuses to testify at today's hearing on the Mueller report.
The Department of Justice spokesperson saying that Barr won't appear before the House Judiciary Committee after Democrats voted to allow committee lawyers to take part of the questioning. That's been an ongoing point of contention between Democrats on the committee and the Attorney General, Chairman Jerry Nadler.
Committee staff questioning has long been an important, if underutilized, aspect of congressional oversight that is in complete accordance with House rules and past precedent.
Republicans on the committee have accused Democrats of staging a theatrical stunt.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines. Yesterday, the Attorney General spent much of the day being grilled by the Senate Judiciary Committee. 21-year-old Riley Howell being remembered as a hero on the campus of the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. He charged and tackled the gunman who would kill him and another student in a classroom. Howell knocked the assailant down, buying enough time for police to capture the shooter. David Belknap, one of Riley Howell's classmates.
Knowing Riley and his character, it did not come as a surprise to me. That seems very much like something he would do, and I want that to be his legacy.
Last night, thousands turned out for a campus vigil to remember the shooting victims. Love one another, that's a theme of today's National Day of Prayer, an event President Ronnie Floyd hopes that a divided nation will take heed.
It's one thing differing with one another. It's a whole different thing to differ and respect one another. And there's not a lot of respect today going on for each other.
Later today, President Trump and the First Lady will take part in a National Day of Prayer service at the White House. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures are up 37 points. NASDAQ futures 21 points higher. S&P futures up 4 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We've got some good news. That crash on 270 southbound after Page has cleared. You might see just a slight delay at Dorset. We do have a very heavy spot on 270 northbound between 55 and Manchester, 55 southbound. Kingbridge split to the 5544 underpass slowing, and 70 eastbound Route A to Bryan Road. That's already pretty tight. Now, Tower Grove Avenue is closed in both directions under 44 with construction until the end of the month. Drivers can use Van Deventer or Grand as alternates. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect through this evening. Cloudy with a couple of showers. Thunderstorm early today, high 69. A passing shower this evening, otherwise cloudy tonight, low 54. Cloudy with a passing shower tomorrow afternoon, the high 66. And then Saturday, a shower in spots early in the morning, otherwise a cloudy day, the high Saturday at 66. I'm Steve Williams with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Let me tell you something about your sleep and why it's so important for you to have the number one pillow and the number one sheet or set of sheets that you're going to find anywhere in the land in terms of comfort and in terms of adjusting to your neck and your body and everything else. The MyPillow brand is fantastic. Mike Lindell, one of you guys, as you know, and Mike has the MyPillow available to you at 30% off when you drop my name. That's right, mypillow.com/Jamie. You're getting 30% off the Fertile Crescent cotton sheets. Yep, these are from the Fertile Crescent. Mike Lindell brings it back here. High thread count, sleeping you softly, coolly, and 30% off when you drop the name Jamie as your code. MyPillow.com/Jamie. On top of that, my friends, you also are getting the MyPillow set, which is 2 beautiful pillows plus 2 to-go pillows that you can take with you when you travel, and that's all free shipping, everything. Just blowing out all the stops for you there with the code name Jamie. So MyPillow.com/Jamie.
Dana Lash. Their proposals are to raise taxes to cover it. It's a giant Ponzi scheme. I've been saying that for 10 years. They have no answers for you, so they got to distract you and get you to think that something else is more pressing than this right here. And don't let them lie to you, especially when we live in no greater era of information, and all of this information is at your fingertips. But you can't believe the first damn result that comes up after a Google search.
The Dana Show. Weekdays at 1 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Good morning. Happy Thursday to all of you. And wow, really enjoying watching the Republicans. It's finally occurred to them. Stop setting up the kicks for the Democrat Party, guys. Lindsey Graham did a great job yesterday, but it's time to shut this damn thing down. It's time to say, we're done. And if you want anything else, you got to work for it. Because yesterday was a debacle. We had the news media covering it all, and all they did was use the entire day. It didn't matter what network you tuned into to just bash Barr and make him out to be some kind of a stooge and call him a liar. Of course, we had to be subjected to it, and Phil was asking me, do you really watch Shepherd's? I go, no, I have satellite, so, and again, I know that radio stations actually, when you're employed by them, hate it when you talk about satellite. Because you know, but I listen to the show occasionally. And, of course, Chris Wallace is on there. Unfortunately, these guys are busying themselves criticizing the people who are making them money, like Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and Sean Hannity. Believe me, Chris Wallace and Shepard Smith wouldn't have a job if it weren't for those three. That network would be nothing. I'm telling you, nothing without Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, and Tucker Carlson, and maybe Martha McCallum. But these guys spend all day talking about opinion journalism, whatever. They wouldn't have a pot to pee in if it weren't for these three people in the evening time. And Chris Wallace must know that. But instead he goes on with his buddy Shepard Smith. He's like, this is not opinion, it's fact. This is not opinion, it's fact. Blah, 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 you know, and going after Barr and everything else and just playing this game. It's time to stop this. It's time to shut it down. And today, thank goodness, Barr does. He's not going in front of the House. Forget it. And you know what? If the House wants him to and doesn't like it, then file the contempt of Congress charges. Go ahead, do it. Because we already know you all don't have the stones to file impeachment articles on the president. We already know the Democratic Party doesn't want to do that. So what do? We just keep allowing them to talk about impeachment all the time. Now is the time to shut it down, stop it, cut off the spigot, stop setting up the kicks for the Democrats, and shut it down. Barr did that yesterday when he said, I'm not going before you monkeys in the House. You kidding me? You low IQ serpents down there. We already had to put up with this Hirono character yesterday and Cory Booker, and I'm not even going to play you those sound. I mean, honestly, it's not even worth it. These people are low ballers, and they are the dregs of the earth. There was no. It was the only reason that Barr went before the Senate committee is because it is dominated by. It's a Republican committee. It's a Republican-led committee. And Lindsey Graham did a great job yesterday making sure that Hirono and all of her other little simps knew who was in charge. And yesterday, by the tail end of this monstrosity, the White House and the Justice Department let them know who was in charge. And Barr said, you know what? You can bite me. I'm not going before your House committee. And guess what? The Democrats won't file contempt of Congress charges because they don't have any balls. And they know it. They rely on people like Brian Williams to do their work for them. They rely on people like Wolf Blitzer. They rely on people like Shepard Smith to do all the work for them. They're lazy as the day is long. I'm telling you, without the news media, there wouldn't be a Mayor Pete. There wouldn't be a Beto O'Rourke. There wouldn't even be a Joe Biden. Because these people have, A, nothing in common with the Democrat Party for the most part, and certainly nothing in common with most of America. So it's only the media that props these people up. They have nothing. So what they do is they keep threatening. They keep on talking about impeachment, but they're never going to do it. When are they going to do it? You know, Maxine Waters blather, I think we ought to impeach you. It's like, okay, then do it. Let's see you do it. Do it. Do it. And so now finally that the Barr and his team said we're not going before the House committee. Now it's up to the Democrats. Go ahead and file contempt of Congress charges. Do it. Because you know what? You're not getting me willingly. We're not setting up the kick for you anymore. Good. Yesterday was the last day, and Lindsey Graham basically pointed out, I said, this is over. This is done. If you've got problems with it, file the articles of impeachment, file contempt of Congress, and we'll see you in 2020. Brian Williams interrupted the hearing. He had to because the news media didn't want to hear Lindsey Graham talk. They wanted to hear this dimwit Hirono drone on and actually it did indeed slander Barr, by the way. I'm thinking to myself, how did Hawaiians elect this woman? My goodness gracious. First of all, I barely understand a word she's saying, which I don't know what she's, and secondly, she's so disgustingly mean. My goodness, great. I mean, you're looking at these people, you're like, I wouldn't want to even be within 5 feet of you. I mean, you talk about Klobuchar. What does Hirono eat a salad with? Goodness gracious! Probably with the guts that she's eviscerated from her staff. She just ties them up into their intestines and eats them that way. I love how Comey, by the way, speaking of eating people, I love how Comey talked about how Trump eats the souls of his enemies. You know what? You're damn right, Jim Comey. You're finally right about something. He does, and he will. Even if CNN has a poll out showing that Beto O'Rourke leads Donald Trump by 10 points. That is funny. That's actually funny. Anyway, here's Brian Williams.
No coordination.
That's Lindsey Graham.
No
Brian
conspiracy
Williams.
between the Trump campaign and the Russian government regarding the 2016 election. If there's no underlying crime...
We're reluctant to do this. We rarely do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You're reluctant. Brian Williams, the born-bred, convicted liar with his fake little Edward R. Murrow pose that he always does. I don't know whether you notice it or not, but he's got his... This guy is the most vacuous, talentless dude. And you could tell, look at him and look at the pictures of Edward Murrow, and you could see that he fakes the Edward R. Murrow look. It's so amazing. A lot of us who are older, who grew up studying journalism and that kind of thing, know a little bit more about Edward R. Murrow than maybe some of the younger people do. And Brian Williams counts. He counts on that, or he conjures, the soul of Edward R. Murrow. Brian Williams is like begging the producers to let him smoke on the air. Can I smoke? Because no, you can't, Brian, idiot. But so you hear this is 10:09 in the morning, and you're hearing Lindsey Graham just wiping the floor with these people, and at that point, it's like that's when Brian Williams. It's 5 seconds in, and Brian Williams is already lying about how we hate to do this, and this is Brian Williams can't tell the truth to save his life.
Election. If there's no underlying crime,
we're reluctant to do this. We rarely do. But the chairman of the Judiciary Committee just said that Mueller found there was no collusion. That is not correct. Nicole Wallace, the report.
So during Lindsey Graham's testimony or during his speech, they have to interrupt him to correct him, in at least editorializing, correcting him. And actually, that was the ruling of Mueller. But the problem is, Mueller, again, didn't have the guts or the integrity to actually rule that way. He had to insinuate it. He had to punt. And that's why you have the ball in play that Brian Williams and the rest of his gang decide they're going to kick around. But, I mean, we rarely do this, but we're going to interrupt the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and inject our own opinion about what the Mueller report was all about. Unbelievable. And it's Brian Williams and Nicole Wallace who, Lord.
He just said that Mueller found there was no collusion. That is not correct. Nicole Wallace, the report says collusion is not a thing they considered. It doesn't exist in federal code.
And what's stunning is that Lindsey Graham is offering answers to questions that aren't on the table today.
Yeah, so they're deciding that their voices are more important than the Judiciary Committee, even though they invested everything in the Judiciary Committee as the truth teller, meaning when Barr was going to appear there, they used the whole Judiciary Committee proceedings to attack Barr and his integrity and everything else. But then a Republican starts to speak, and they have to interject their opinion about what he had to say and talk over him, basically. And by the way, I don't even know who Nicole Wallace is. I know she's been around the block, but and I know that she is another one of those people who I wouldn't want to be 5 feet from. But I don't really know who she is. She just, she's got this job because of her political connections. I think she was one time a Republican strategist or whatever. I'm afraid. I think she cussed. Somebody cussed in here. I don't know. I'm afraid she did. I don't want to keep playing it. I don't think, but they just and they went on and the entirety. I can go through this for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
That we decided to flag it when we heard him. Collusion mantra is so foundational to why we're here today that we decided to flag it when we heard him use it yet again.
Yeah, if only there were people to flag every moment of Brian Williams's journalistic life. It's really too bad there wasn't somebody when Brian Williams was talking to step in and say, that's a lie. Time and time again, when Brian Williams lied on television to the American people, it's too bad there weren't people who were sitting there monitoring him who could break in and correct his lie. But Brian Williams certainly now has the gift of being able to pick up on these matters right off the bat, doesn't he? Hey, listen, Brian Williams apparently has appointed himself the lie detector at MSNBC. That's how funny this whole thing is. That's how hilarious it is. I'm sorry, I had to break in there because we're dedicated to the truth. It's like, oh yeah, you are, aren't you? Is that why you're on MSNBC and not the anchor of NBC anymore? Because and by the way, in journalism, it's amazing to me because the Poynter Institute just had this list. I got something to say about the Poynter Institute a little later on because I was down there in 1999. The Poynter Institute declared that Breitbart was an illegitimate news site. And the Poynter Institute maintains as its mantra that truth is the all-important thing in journalism, that if you don't have truth and credibility, what more do you have? And yet Brian Williams is a convicted liar and a multi-time liar. And he's not only kicked off the air at NBC, but then he's brought back on MSNBC, and he's brought back on MSNBC yesterday as a lie detector. It's you don't get any weirder than this. I mean, you talk about Orwellian. This is a crazy world we live in. I mean, it's amazing to me. So Brian, he acts like this. The big drama here is that he has had to step in and tell the truth. And the reality is, the truth is, unfortunately, so up in the air. You can apply anything you want to the Mueller report because Mueller planned it that way. Because he's gutless and didn't call a spade a spade. So that's what we got from the news media. So I'm glad that Barr is giving the gigantic middle finger to the House committee today. And it's high time we cut it off. We stop this now. Stop playing half the game for the Democrats. Make them draw up the articles of impeachment, make them file charges of contempt of Congress against Barr. And you know what? Make them jail members of Trump's administration for not honoring subpoenas. That's the third element there. I think they ought to, when they get subpoenas, they ought to just not even show up and make them arrive, make them led away in handcuffs. Let them handcuff Sarah Huckabee Sanders and take her to jail. We want to see that. But let's stop helping them. And we began today by stopping helping them. We're not setting up the kick for them anymore. And it's a glorious day in America. Your phone lines are open right now. The calltammy.com real estate listener lines, 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
Call the show at 844-855-1380 and interact with Jamie on the calltammy.com listener line. That's 844-855-1380. More Allman in the Morning next on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We've got another accident to add to the mix today. 70 eastbound is stop and go from Route A to Hughes, where a right lane is blocked with a crash. That is a huge delay right now, and we can see it from the jam cam on 70. 270 northbound is actually eased up a bit. Gravois to Manchester still tight, though. Southbound, Dorset to Ladue, you'll see a backup. 55 southbound. Kingbridge split to the 5544 underpass, some delays there. And 6440 eastbound, just starting to slow. 170 to Big Bend, westbound still clear. Traffic is sponsored by Compassion International. It's easier to change the world than you think. Sponsor a child in extreme poverty with Compassion International, and you will change the world for that child. Just text the word child to 83393 to sponsor right now. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
All right, folks, I'm telling you what, before I get into my bikini, I'm telling you, I'd want to go see Dr. Elira Figueroa at Skin and Laser Institute. Before I get into my Speedo, I got to make sure I see Dr. Elira Figueroa if I have an issue with cellulite or fat I don't want or whatever else, because right now summer's here and the time is right for the Skin Laser Institute of St. Louis, skinlaserstl.com. So she has a way of melting away the fat, melting away the inches, breaking down the cellulite, and, of course, tightening your skin all at the same time. This is all done very safely. This is all done very easily. And it's just a couple of treatments, and you're on your way with the Skin Laser Institute of St. Louis. So you have the Exilus and Cellutone and the Vanquish Me, BTL Vanquish Me. All these things are processes that are brand new to the health market, really, and now are common in the health market. So Dr. Lyra Figueroa is bringing them to you at your doorstep practically. She's right there in Sunset Hills, 314-822-5309. SkinLaserSTL.com is the website. On top of all that, she's all about making your face look good too. Microneedling, the hydrofacials, the Botox, all that kind of stuff. Right now, it's so easy these days. The technology is so readily available. It's all so safely, painlessly done that it's really all the rage. And Dr. Lyra Figueroa is on top of that at SkinLaserSTL.com. Also on Instagram, SkinLaserSTL. And don't forget about the IV treatments. These are amazing. There's a whole menu. It's like going to a restaurant, and she has an IV for every need you happen to have. Maybe you want to kind of get that new energy. Maybe you want to get that new metabolism going. Maybe you want to brighten your skin or take care of your hair, or maybe you just need that extra B vitamin, C vitamin stuff. Maybe you had a rough night the night before. The IV is right there for you and will get you right back up to where you need to be, or to begin being that new you want to be. SkinLaserSTL.com, SkinLaserSTL.com.
Business owners, self-employed, part-time employees, are you struggling to pay your bills because you no longer can afford your health insurance? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. With Obamacare premiums skyrocketing, higher deductibles, and shrinking networks, let me introduce you to Dryden Camus Insurance Agency as the answer, the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency has non-Obamacare ACA-compliant plans that do not fund abortion. There's no enrollment period, and you don't have to pay for expensive extras like pediatric dentistry or maternity care. Contact Joyce at Dryden Camus Insurance Agency and start saving up to 60%. Call 877-695-0245. That's 877-695-0245, or just go to kddi-ins.com. Cut through the confusion and save money with Dryden Camus Insurance Agency, serving Missouri and Illinois. This is the answer. This is the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency. Just go to kddi-ins.com.
Tammy Mitchell Hines, sister from another mother. Hey, love her energy, love her passion, love the way she operates out there in beautiful Columbia as the #1 independent real estate service in northwestern Illinois. And so I had the pleasure, privilege of visiting her in her office right there in Columbia. And it's not just her office, it's the & Company office too. So that's where you have the Tammy Mitchell Hines & Company. And her people, her whole staff, they're just one big happy family. And she makes sure they're happy. She gives them their own cars and with the Tammy Mitchell Hines label on them. They don't have to worry about insurance and gas and all that other mother jazz. She makes it easy for them to get your home sold. That's why, well, one of the reasons why, because they're well skilled too. That's why they are able to sell a home every 30 hours with the Tammy Mitchell Hines & Company swagger. And they're also going to make sure you have a moving van. If you buy or sell your home, she throws the moving van as well, which is kind of new in the real estate business. And lots of people have copied it, and that's a good thing because she's more than happy to introduce people to brand new ways of making people happy. And that's what the Tammy Mitchell Hines & Company vibe is all about. Check it out at calltammy.com. That's calltammy.com.
Dennis Prager, this morning at 11. Now, more Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Good morning, everybody. Hillary appeared on Rachel Maddow last night. You talk about no shame. I just got through with Brian Williams, but you would think Hillary Clinton, around the time when people are talking about violating laws and being dishonest and ill-serving the public, that Hillary Clinton wouldn't be the one to kind of start, now's my time to parade around. It's like, Hillary, do you realize the kind of reputation you have, even among Democrats? Do you realize, like, who you are? And yet she decides that this is her time to go ahead and put on her feather boa and get out there on Rachel Maddow's show and talk about how Barr is misbehaving. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, this is actually funny. I'm not trying to make you all mad. This is the world we live in.
In terms of Barr's performance today and what we...
I love Hillary sitting there. She's sitting there with Rachel Maddow, and she's got this pursed lip look on. You know that one? When she was doing her hearing thing. What difference at this point does it make? The Benghazi hearing. She got a little pursed lip thing that she basically is patented that makes her look so attractive. But she's on with Rachel Maddow, and Rachel Maddow's just like teeing it up for her. So she's got a little pursed lip thing going, and she's ready to rock here on William Barr. I'm sorry, muted that.
About how Barr has handled the results of Mueller's investigation thus far.
Yes.
Would you
Rachel.
call this an attempted cover-up? Would you say
Make
that
me
Barr
another
is
sandwich,
handling
Rachel.
Mueller's findings in a way that is dishonest,
I'll have some ketchup,
that is inappropriate, that is
mustard,
something that ought to,
and pickles.
As many Democrats said today, cause him to resign. That should potentially leave him open to the prospect of impeachment himself.
A little coleslaw.
How do you assess Barr's
and
the
just
severity
come over here with the
Barr's
plate
misbehavior here?
Let me eat it. Thank you.
Well, I think it is incredibly severe because I think he is doing the job he was hired to do. He auditioned for the job with his 19-page memo basically saying there's no such thing as obstruction of justice when it comes to a president. He was hired to make sure that was a reality. He has behaved in that way. I think that the Democrats on the committee did a good job today in exposing that.
Yes, let's talk to the dragon lady of injustice. Ladies and gentlemen, Hillary Clinton. Unbelievable. You talk about hubris, but nobody's holding these people to account so they can wander out and reinvent themselves all they want to, whether it's Brian Williams or Hillary Clinton on Rachel Maddow. Man, if anybody, she ought to be keeping her fat trap shut. Your phone calls are welcome. Call Tammy.com, real estate listener lines, 844-855-1380.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee warns he may hold William Barr in contempt because the Attorney General refuses to testify at today's hearing on the Mueller report. Yesterday, Barr spent much of the day being grilled by members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. 21-year-old Riley Howell being remembered as a hero on the campus of the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. He charged and tackled the gunman who would kill him and another student in a classroom. Howell knocked the assailant down, buying enough time for police to capture the gunman, the suspect in the deadly attack due in court later today. Love one another. That's the theme of today's National Day of Prayer. And later in the day, President Trump and the First Lady will participate in a National Day of Prayer service at the White House. Dow futures up 22 points. This is SRN News.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The answer.
Well, we've got a couple of accidents right now. They're both on 170 southbound. You've got a crash on the right shoulder after 270. We can see that one from the jam cam on 170. And 170 southbound after Page, a right lane blocked there with an accident. The crash on 70 eastbound at Hughes, that one has cleared, but you will still see brake lights back to Route A. 270 northbound, Gravois to Manchester slows. Southbound Page to Ladue, some delays, and we're slow on 55 southbound between 64 and the 5544 underpass. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect through this evening. Cloudy with a couple of showers. Thunderstorm early today, high 69. A passing shower this evening, otherwise cloudy tonight, low 54. Cloudy with a passing shower tomorrow afternoon, the high 66. And then Saturday, a shower in spots early in the morning, otherwise a cloudy day, the high Saturday at 66. I'm Steve Williams with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Hey folks, Allman here. I hope to see you Thursday, May 9th in beautiful Brentwood for Allman and Elder in the evening. That's right, Larry Elder coming to St. Louis, and we're going to wow you from the View 17 stage. And ladies and gents, if you pay $79 for the VIP ticket, what you're going to get in return Free drinks, free food, a free book, a lot like me from Larry Elder, the world-famous book about his dad. He's going to sign that for you. We'll take pictures. We'll take a tour of the beautiful Allman in the Morning studio, and you're going to get a great show from that gorgeous stage. It's Allman and Elder in the evening. Tickets available not only at the VIP level, but also at the general admission level for $13.80 at theanswerstl.com. Allman in the Evening, sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet. That's right, Michael, a longtime friend of mine, your specialist in hardwood, laminate flooring, tile, and carpet, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Allman here for my good friends at Arrowhead Building Supply, the Pogues, longtime supporters of Allman in the Morning, and I love what they are doing for you. They are the premier supplier of exterior building products in the area for more than 20 years. They have this really cool thing called the Cube, which is a home visualizer. You put a picture of your home in there, and you can see what the siding and the roofing all looks like in real time. The best-known siding brands, CertainTeed, Provia. It's arrowheadbuildingsupply.com.
Listen to Allman in the Morning with Alexa. Wake up and say, Alexa, play The Answer St. Louis. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Don't tell the director I said so, but are you safe, Miss Renenko? We were at a policy meeting, they were planning new ways of cheating. I didn't want to rock your boat, but you said this dangerous road.
Good morning this morning. Coming up, we're going to talk more about this situation at the local level where we have a problem on our hands, and that is the strong possibility of another burning St. Louis community over the summer. As St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell overcharges a police officer in this Ladue Schnook shooting, and the chances of her being convicted of felony assault are probably about slim to none. And now they can't even plead the thing, or there's going to be outrage. You saw the Black Lives Matter people out there the day after this thing happened. And unfortunately, in situations like this, and again, I don't believe that Wesley Bell intends, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, I don't believe he intends to have a firefight in St. Louis again over a police shooting. Charging this police officer with second-degree felony assault was way overdone, is way overdone. The family's been very gracious, but I don't know how long it's going to take before Al Sharpton flies in here or some other nefarious people associated with the Black Lives Matter decide this is going to be their thing. So it's inexplicable, of course. 13-year veteran pulling a taser instead of a gun. I get it. But in the heat of the battle, the heat of the moment, that's what she says happened. And you can't prove that she intended to shoot this alleged shoplifter. And charging her with a felony is way overdone. And Wesley Bell made a big mistake. I hope it wasn't on purpose. Because what's going to happen here is it's going to go to court. She's going to walk, and then it's on. That's my biggest fear. By the way, back to the Brian Williams now suddenly is a lie detector, and Hillary Clinton now suddenly on Rachel Maddow is the person who is the arbiter of misbehavior. So what's next? Is Maddow going to have Adolf Hitler on to and ask him, hey, what do you think about President Trump's anti-Semitism? I mean, What do you think about that, Adolf? I mean, that's the kind of world we're living in now, where everything is upside down. We need a person who is an evener, a person who will calm us down a little bit. We need a yoga teacher, a political yoga teacher like Jim Talent, ladies and gentlemen. Former senator, soothsayer, calmer downer, Jim Talent. Hi.
Hey, Jamie. Well, that's a unique introduction. I've had a lot of years.
I know, brother. Hey, you know what? Yesterday, I know that you've been in the Senate and you have been around political animals. What's your takeaway from what you saw yesterday at this Judiciary Committee hearing?
You know what I suspect? I normally don't talk a lot about what I suspect, but what I suspect, because I think this is important. So Barr is an institution guy. Okay, the irony of this is he's, the furthest thing, certainly temperamentally, from what you would call, a Trump person, right? I mean, he goes back to Bush 1. He's an institution guy, and he's worried about the credibility and the integrity of the DOJ and the FBI at the highest levels. And I think it's very clear he's going to investigate what led up to the FISA warrant and this whole thing. In other words, and he needs to. I mean, that is the enduring and important public interest that is now at stake here. And I think that there may be some attempts to undermine him before he gets in that, so as to undermine the credibility of what I think he is likely to find.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I think is going on here. That and just the normal controlled and 24-hour news cycle, which isn't a 24-hour cycle anymore, right? It's like a 10-minute cycle. But I think it's those two things. And he's signaled that there's a limit to how much he's going to go along with that, and he's going to insist on the norms being followed when he goes before the Congress, which is, I think, very appropriate for him to do.
Yes, definitely interesting take on that, Jim, because it does appear that they're just trying to dismantle this guy, and it looks like they're actually seemingly kind of afraid of him, and that's an interesting analysis and observation on your part. So finally, yesterday, by the end of the day, Mr. Barr is like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Lindsey Graham is saying, we're not doing this anymore. This is over. And so Barr says, I'm not going to be at this House committee hearing. And then they say, well, we'll threaten you contempt of Congress. But you know what? Will they? Because they haven't drawn up articles of impeachment. They're not, this contempt of Congress. They haven't subpoenaed and then arrested the members of the Trump administration that they've said they were going to do. And so I doubt they'd even follow up on charging him with contempt of Congress. What do you think?
I don't know what they'll do because, they're messaging here. But I do know that these are oversight hearings, okay? So they're not show trials. They're not depositions in a civil case. And I don't have a problem with the rules being administered in a way that allows people to go beyond the 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, when I chaired a committee, I did that all the time. I made clear that I would do that because I reserved the right as the chairman, and I allowed the ranking member the right to go on longer than 5 minutes if they felt a witness was trying to evade a question. And by the way, that kept the witnesses from doing it. It's a classic thing. They spin out the 5 minutes, and then they don't have to ever answer the question. And I just made clear to people that isn't going to work here. And it was not a partisan thing. I mean, I chaired the Small Business Committee, which is the furthest thing from a partisan committee. So I don't have a problem with that, with Nadler saying, look, I'm going to, I'll go on for longer. I do have a problem with saying the staff is going to, or a lawyer is going to interrogate a cabinet secretary. So I would say, to Jerry Nadler, who was in my class when I went in 92, I would say, Jerry, look, you have to learn your own brief here. You have to be up enough so that you can do the questions. Don't push that off on us. Again, it's not a deposition, right? You don't hire a lawyer to do it. It's an oversight hearing. And I think Barr is perfectly entitled to say, I'm not going to go answer a bunch of staff questions. He doesn't have to do that. So I think Nadler's going to have to decide whether he wants to do this in a way that Barr's willing to testify. I'm perfectly confident in Barr's ability to handle himself at an oversight hearing. I'm not worried about that. He's just protecting the prerogatives of the executive branch. Again, he's an institution guy, and he's worried about the precedent 5 years and 10 years and 15 years from now, which is correct.
Yeah, I think that ultimately, at some point, we just need to make. I made the statement earlier that the Trump administration and Republicans just need to stop doing half the work for the Democrats and make them finally deliver on their accusations and on their threats and everything else. It's time for them to go ahead and do it, and we need to stop setting the ball up for them to kick. And I think this is a good start with Barr saying I'm not going to be there. I want to focus now because I know that one of the things that you're very much focused on is national defense and military issues and geopolitical issues, and this thing in Venezuela obviously is a big deal, and a lot of us are very worried about the possibility of U.S. military intervention there. What do you think is going to happen? I guess you really can't tell, but what's going on?
Well, what I think is happening is that the Trump administration is adroitly applying all kinds of pressure, diplomatic, economic, and there's a lot of things we don't know about, which is good. I mean, we don't want to know about everything. I think everything's being done according to the rules, but you don't conduct this kind of a policy, out in the open. And I think that the threat, if you will, of military action is an important part of the pressure. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think what we've seen in the last couple of days is that Maduro can no longer trust his own indigenous forces to be willing to shoot his own civilians. And this is really important for dictators, that they have military units that are willing to do that. If you remember Tiananmen Square, the Chinese called in forces from the provinces to be willing to do that. They didn't trust the ones in Beijing, He doesn't have that anymore, which means from his perspective, if he doesn't get out, he's in real danger of being strung up when he falls into the hands of his grateful people, right? So this is, I think, a sign of progress. The Cubans that are protecting him do not want to be the ones out there shooting civilians. I don't mean to talk about this lightly. I mean, this is obviously, this whole situation is abysmal. But that's where I think we're at. And I think, the administration is going to continue applying pressure along with the neighboring countries. And I'm hopeful of a good result. But no, I don't see. But I think it's important that Trump leave that on the table. It's a form of pressure. It's another thing they have to worry about. Right?
Yeah, the neighboring countries you mentioned, I guess I just don't hear about what the neighboring countries are doing. I know what Russia's doing. I know what Cuba's doing, and they're not neighboring countries. So what are the neighboring countries doing? I mean, I'm talking about Colombia.
They're delegitimizing Maduro. I'm sorry, I jumped in, but
That's
they're
okay,
delegitimizing Maduro.
Okay.
See, that you have to govern, these authoritarians govern by a combination of force and legitimacy. They can't get legitimacy from elections because they won't hold real elections. So they do it in other ways. They rely on nationalism. They try and get the population to blame outsiders. I mean, these are classic patterns, right? And so, his neighbors, like the vice president of Brazil and others, are denying him that by saying he's not the real president of Venezuela and just basically telling the truth. That's another thing. They never like it when you tell the truth. So this is just in being willing to tell the truth, the Trump administration is undermining Maduro. So, this is all, Jamie, people say, and they're right, look, we don't want to have to go in and use American troops for this sort of thing. So we have to use other tools. And those tools take longer. They're harder to see happening, but that's what's going on here. For once, we're the one using these tools effectively. That the Russians use all the time, for example, right?
Yeah.
Way war tools. So we should be pleased. I mean, I think the administration's doing a really good job on this.
Yeah.
It's a combination of economic, diplomatic, reputational kinds of tools to back him into a corner and make him leave.
Now, what do you think?
Supposedly, he was ready to go, and then the Cubans got him to change his mind.
Yeah, I was going to ask you exactly. I was just about to ask you about that. Do you think that's true? Because Maduro's now claiming, "Oh, we tricked you. I was never going to leave, and we got you we beat you out of the bushes, and blah blah blah." But do you think he was really going to go?
Well, that's what they. Yes,
okay.
I think that. Of course, I'm not read into all the intelligence that John Bolton is looking at, but. Yeah, I think he was. And now he's in a situation where wherever he's holed up, I think it's Fortino with something with his Cubans, he looks at his defense minister who had flipped and then flipped back, and he's thinking, is this guy going to betray me again? Because the defense minister is worried about, all the people around him are worried about what happens when he goes.
Right.
He leaves the country. They're still there. And the people of Venezuela are angry. Remember what happened to Nicolae Ceausescu in Romania?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they're worried about. And I think the Trump administration has been very, very persistent and strong in what it's been doing. This is also a reason, it's an example of why, we don't want foreign governments to control governments in our hemisphere, because there's just no end of problems over decades. That's why we have the Monroe Doctrine, and that's why Pompeo has said, look, this is still a vital doctrine, right?
Yeah.
So just everybody needs to be patient here. I think this strategy is working. This is what we want our government to do, so let's give them some time while they're doing it, right?
Yep. I remember it vividly, watching Nicolae Ceausescu's face turn to alabaster as he stood up there on the balcony with his wife and offered everybody money. He said, I'm going to increase your wages and blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, screw you. And then suddenly he's like, wait a minute, that's the first time I've ever seen that. And boom, it wasn't long before he was off in a helicopter from the roof of the palace on his way out of there. And that's a classic story.
Not literally, but in the most extreme way on his way out of there. And if anybody ever deserved to get it in the neck, it was him. So I can't sum it up. I probably should if I was a better man, but I can't sum up any pity for people who do this. The suffering in Venezuela.
Yeah.
And we're involved in this. And the Trump administration is protecting America's interests, and that always to be the object of American foreign policy. But we should not forget the incredible suffering that's going on in that country because of this gang of thieves, which is really what they are. This is really a criminal syndicate in control of a country. That's what these authoritarians usually come down to. And, running drugs, looting the country, and on top of it, governing so incompetently that the people can't even feed themselves. And this was one of the richest countries in South America. It's just terrible.
Right.
And so again, to get back to your original point, it's important that the threat of military action be viable, which is, frankly, one of the reasons why it's good to have somebody like Donald Trump in the White House, because they know that under the right conditions he would do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right on.
So, therefore, his warnings have power.
All right. Well, Jim Talent, thank you for the rotisserie of all kinds of topics and all kinds of brilliance coming from you. So,
well, it's kind of you. Yeah, I turned the turkey around a lot in the rotisserie, didn't I?
It's awesome. Always good to talk to you, Jim.
Okay, man. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you, too. That's the great Jim Talent. Your phone calls are welcome. Call Tammy.com real estate listener lines 844-855-1380. This is Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We have two accidents working right now, and they're both on 170 southbound. After 270, we have a crash on the right shoulder, and 170 southbound, a right lane blocked after Page Avenue, and that's causing a pretty big backup from Natural Bridge. We can see that from the jam cam at Page. 270 northbound, Gravois to Manchester still slows, and westbound side, Bell Fountain to West Florissant, you'll see some brake lights. 55 southbound, 64 to the 5544 underpass, 6440 eastbound, Boone's Crossing to Timberlake Manor heavy, and big delays on 70 eastbound Route A to 79. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
I am right now on Michael's Flooring Outlet's website, and I am on the page where I am looking at the luxury vinyl, and I'm looking at the Armstrong and the Earthworks and the Mohawk and the Congolium, all those different kinds of varieties. And I have 2 pages, but every page has 100 plus different kinds of versions of luxury vinyl. So sometimes you are in the market for ceramic tiling, but your budget doesn't fit it. Sometimes you are in the market for hardwood, but your budget doesn't fit that. Sometimes you're in the market for, stone or whatever it happens to be. Your budget doesn't fit that. So the luxury vinyl is a great option for you if you're just kind of trying to save a little money here and there and want a similar look. That's exactly what you're going to get with the luxury vinyl from Michael's Flooring Outlet. This luxury vinyl, I mean, you can make something look like wood. You could make something look like stone. You could make something look like brick. You could make, I'm looking at this and I don't see any difference with the wood and that. And this is not just, kind of like this isn't going to bow and pop up on you and look weird or anything like that, or look fake. These are really good looking. That's why they call it luxury vinyl, because you just cannot tell the difference. And so for those of you kind of in the market for something and you just want to kind of go one level below on price, Michael can fit you with that, and with a ton of variety on the luxury vinyl, plus $500 off, because he's got the tax refund coupon right there on the front page where you can go click on it, get your $500 off, and it's on through June 3rd. So check it out on the web. It's michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Started this company with $700 in his pocket, and look at him now, and continually supporting Common Sense Radio. michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
You have to decide, am I willing to get in right now? Is the world over? Is the good world over? Is it going to crash?
Miss your chance to ask Del a question during the show? You can connect with Del off the air, too. Go to DelOnTheRadio.com, click on the Twitter link, and ask your question. #AskDel.
I believe that a good teacher has the skill set to be able to bring people through multiple levels of learning that are completely different from one another.
Have a comment for Del instead? Use #TellDel.
KXFN, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Greetings, St. Louis. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. Excited to welcome Jamie Allman back to St. Louis Radio. As a longtime supporter and sponsor of Allman in the Morning, my goal as his trusted advisor is to make sure that you are in good hands. With over 70 years of combined staff experience, my team of agents and I know how to make sure that you get the best value for the money you spend on your insurance. Is your insurance company currently hiding behind a website, out of town, or just a call center with no accountability to you or our community? Would you like to speak to the same person every time you call? Is there a new roof on your home? Do you have a teenage driver in your family? Has your credit score improved greatly over the last few years? You can email me at matthewmitchell@allstate.com, or you can call my agents at 855-QUOTE-ME. Folks, there is safety in numbers. Put the power of Allstate to work for you as America's largest and strongest insurance company. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. Again, the number to call is 855-QUOTE-ME.
My Pillow. So Phil was telling me he slept on it for the first time yesterday, and his reviews are, loved it. And I have too. I sleep under My Pillow and love what that pillow feels like, and what it does is it contours through your neck and whatever kind of position you happen to be sleeping in. And you can get the My Pillow right now at a great price if you use the promo code Jamie at mypillow.com/Jamie. So you're getting a 4-pack of pillows. You're getting the 2 pillows. Then you're getting the 2 to-go pillows that you can take anywhere you want them to go with you. And then you also have the free shipping and everything else when you use the promo code Jamie. Then also the Giza Dream Sheets. These are grown. They don't grow them, but they make them from the cotton grown in the Fertile Crescent, and you're getting the high thread count and the cool sleep vibe. They feel cool, and you're going to love these Giza Dream Sheets, especially since you're going to get 30% off when you drop my name, mypillow.com/Jamie.
Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Good morning this morning, everybody. Coming up, I'll talk more about this situation regarding the police officer now charged with a felony. I'm praying for peace, but this isn't going to work out well. I'll tell you why in the 8 o'clock hour. And also, it's unusual. It's an unusual act for Wesley Bell, considering what he talked about during his campaign. So we'll follow up on that, too. And that doesn't bode well, either, that he departed from his campaign promise. So we'll follow up on that. I'm giving Wesley Bell the benefit of the doubt. I've talked to him before. He really is a nice guy. I don't think he's the radical crazy that some people think he is, but he's got radical crazies pushing him. He was elected because of the Ferguson situation. Those people are still around. I'm pleased to report CNN has lost 26% of its already tiny audience, dropping to 15th place during prime time in April. I don't know how they still sustain any kind of payroll. Last month, CNN's average audience during the all-important primetime hour was humiliating. It was 767,000 people. Not even able to attract 1 million average viewers. Fox News tripled them, 2.4 million viewers. And MSNBC doubled them. I mean, there's nothing left of this tattered network that once called itself the world's most important network. But everybody's still there. That's amazing. They must be either working for free or CNN has some kind of financial backer that we just don't know about. Wow. Phone calls are welcome, 844-855-1380.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. He's put the House Judiciary Committee on notice. Attorney General Barr saying he will not testify before the panel as it takes a closer look at the Mueller report.
Barr angry with Democrats' plans to let committee lawyers take part of the questioning.
He is trying to blackmail the committee into not following what we think is the most effective means of eliciting the information we need.
Chairman Jerry Nadler says he'll consider issuing a subpoena for Barr's testimony, and if the Attorney General still refuses, he could be held in contempt.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines. Barr spent much of yesterday before the Senate Judiciary Committee. A 22-year-old man accused of fatally shooting 2 students and wounding 4 others in a classroom at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, due in court later today. Demonstrators expected to take to the streets of Caracas again today, demanding the resignation of embattled Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
As the second day of unrest in Venezuela played out with opposition protests largely contained by government forces, Cuba went on the offensive against Trump administration accusations. In Washington, Carlos Fernandez de Cosio, Cuba's Director General of U.S. Affairs, told the Associated Press National Security Advisor John Bolton's accusations of Cuban military involvement in Venezuela are false.
Cuba does not participate in military operations nor in security operations in Venezuela.
Fernandez de Cosio said there are roughly 20,000 Cubans in Venezuela, but that virtually all are medical workers. Mike Gracia, Washington.
The Trump administration is asking Congress for an additional $4.5 billion in emergency funds for the U.S.-Mexico border that grapples with a surge of Central Americans trying to illegally enter the U.S. Wall Street Dow futures down 1 point, NASDAQ futures up 3. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Well, once again, we're accident-free. The crash on 170 southbound after Page is cleared. You do still have a bit of a delay back to 70. Now, 270 northbound, still pretty tight. Gravois to Manchester. Westbound 367 to West Florissant backing up. Delays on 55 southbound 64 to the 5544 underpass. 6440 eastbound Chesterfield Airport Road to Timberlake Manor. That's our heavy spot. And then 170 to Big Bend slow, westbound Hampton to Laclede Station, and 70 eastbound jammed up, Route A to 79 First Capital to St. Charles Rock. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect through this evening. Cloudy with a couple of showers. Thunderstorm early today, high 69. A passing shower this evening. Otherwise cloudy tonight, low 54. Cloudy with a passing shower tomorrow afternoon, the high 66. And then Saturday, a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise a cloudy day, the high Saturday at 66. I'm Steve Williams with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Maine bans the use of styrofoam cups and food containers. Salesforce CEO donates $30 million to study homelessness. And Florida okays teachers to carry guns. Those stories are next.
We have to talk about it.
Nope, I don't wanna.
We have to.
No.
But we need life insurance.
I am not listening to you.
So you don't love me then?
What? Oh, fine. We need life insurance, but all the paperwork, it's such a pain.
Not with Ethos.
Ethos? Is that some kind of yoga thing?
No, Ethos is life insurance for people like us.
Like us?
People who don't have time for fine print, insurance jargon, and hidden fees.
Yeah, I pretty much hate all that stuff.
Of course you do. With Ethos, you can apply online, and there's a policy for every budget.
Really?
Yes. The online application only takes 10 minutes, and you'll be taking the first step in ensuring the kids and I will be safe, even if something unexpected happens.
Ethos brings you choices that don't require an in-person meeting with an agent, and in most cases, there's no need for a doctor's appointment.
Feel better?
Yeah, I do.
Ethos, life insurance made simple. Apply online in just 10 minutes. Get a free instant quote now at ethoslife.com. That's ETHOS life.com. EthosLife.com.
Maine becomes the first state in the nation to ban single-use styrofoam cups and food containers. Environmental activists now want all styrofoam cups outlawed nationwide. Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, donating $30 million to the University of California to research homelessness. Benioff embraced the homeless issue when more than 4,000 people began sleeping on the street in his native San Francisco. The Florida legislature has passed a bill allowing teachers to carry guns in their classrooms. The bill now heads to the governor, Ron DeSantis, where he is expected to sign it into law. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Here at The Answer St. Louis, we know you're smart, but you didn't get that way all by yourself. To aid in your never-ending quest for knowledge, we've teamed up with Regnery Publishing for the Regnery Book of the Month contest. Every month, we'll give away a different book from the hottest conservative authors. Just go to theanswerstlouis.com, click on the Answer Advantage Contests and Surveys tab, and sign up to win. Regnery Publishing. Great conservative books, great conservative authors.
In the midst of all the uncertainty around us, we all need a refuge, a place to call home. Come home to St. Matthew in Belleville. We have 3 services on Sunday morning. 8 a.m., our traditional, 9:17, our contemporary, and we have a unique service at 10:45 a.m., blended with a full choir and orchestra. We look forward to seeing you there. For additional information, visit us at stmatthewumc.org.
You love that smell, that new truck smell, all cleaned up and ready to go.
Did you get your vent visor?
You know, the rain guard that goes over your window? Stop by Custom Car and Truck in O'Fallon, Illinois for free installation and lifetime warranty on vent visors.
How about your bug shield? You don't want to mess up the hood of your new truck with dead bugs. Keep them off the hood with free installation and lifetime warranty bug shield.
See John and the crew off Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois,
or online at customcarandtruck.com.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening.
Good morning this morning, everybody, and ladies and gentlemen, happy Thursday. Thursday. Happy Thursday. I'm looking up. I used to have a Sarah Palin bite me bit. I'll find it again. I'm going to research the soundboard, and I'll have Sarah Palin saying bite me sooner than later, which is exactly what Mr. Barr is telling the House, and they're all angry. You know, they say he's angry. It's like, Barr's not angry. You guys are angry. You're the ones who are angry. So we're going to just watch you be angered, and we're going to watch you not do anything about it like you say you are. You know, we're going to charge you with contempt of Congress. Okay, great. I'll check with the Weather Channel to find out when monkeys are going to fly out of my butt. Because that'll be when you do it, because you're never going to do it. You don't have the stones to do it. You don't have the guts to do it. You're never going to file impeachment articles. You're never going to put anybody from the administration in jail. You're never going to file contempt of Congress charges against Barr. You're never going to do it. The only reason you're saying anything about it is because Shepard Smith, Allison Camerata, and Brian Williams and Chris Matthews will just simply ape whatever comes out of your fat mouths, and they'll do it for you. But you're never going to do it. You don't have the guts. You don't have the guts. You have only lies and your thumb to suck on to get you through the next 2 years and the next 6 years. It's going to be fun to watch. It's so miserable. Oh, by the way, and the CNN poll isn't going to help you. That made up CNN poll that we're watching this morning. CNN is claiming that Beto O'Rourke has a 10-point lead over Donald Trump in a hypothetical 2020 election. That's the biggest pile of steaming crap that I've seen in a long time from a network that apparently, according to Phil and some of the Facebook comments, is only elevated because it's part of a cable package when you buy it. That's apparently how they get by. Don Lemon's probably working for free at this point. There's no way they're making any money over there. So but that's all you have. You have these people who are kind of like just doing your bidding for you. And Beto O'Rourke, really? 10-point lead over President Trump in 2020? Sure thing. Gotcha. Elizabeth Warren, 47% to Donald Trump's 48%. Who do you think you're kidding? Seriously. I mean, seriously, who did they poll? The dogs tied to the posts outside of Starbucks? Because and Mayor Pete, sure, 10 points ahead. I mean, come on. You think anybody's buying any of this? We'll let you know. Is that what the Flying Monkeys dressed? Is that how they dressed? Wow, that's a pretty groovy outfit they have. I didn't know that. Huh. Phil put up a picture of like the Flying Monkeys from the Wizard of Oz, because those are all marching to Maxine Waters' drum at the gasoline station. I'd love to see a flying monkey accost me while I'm filling up my Jeep. I'm almost begging for that to happen. Come to my restaurant and take the box of my leftovers off my table, Flying Monkey. Let's see how that works out for you. Yeah, or my hat. Yeah, flip my hat off. Or my son's hat off. We'll see how that works out for the Flying Monkeys out there. But that's a pretty groovy outfit those Flying Monkeys had. Is that really the thing? I think so. Huh. They got wings, which is cool, but they've got this groovy kind of... That was in the 1930s. Actually, it looks pretty Art Deco. They're the Flying Monkey uniform. It looks kind of like they are like bellhops, right? Because they've got these caps, and I guess I didn't really study the Flying Monkey outfit, but it's fairly groovy if you want to take a look at it. Speaking of groovy, I never washed this coffee cup out, and the coffee tastes delicious in it. Just to give you guys an update. And you know what I did last night? I was thinking about you last night, Phil, and all the rest of you out there who are grossed out by my activities when it comes to eating and drinking coffee and coffee cups and that kind of thing. I went in to a big old Ziploc gallon bag that had a big old hunk of my mom's Easter lamb in it, and I pulled off with my bare hands a piece of that Easter meat, that lamb, and ate it right out of that plastic bag. That's what I did. Mm-hmm.
You don't do that mint jelly, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't put anything like that on meat. I mean, the idea of putting cranberry sauce on turkey is the most vile idea, or pineapple on ham. Keep fruit away from my meat. Don't put fruit on my meat. It's disgusting. I'm rarely disgusted by much, but don't be putting fruit on meat. You don't have to. If you don't like meat, don't eat meat, but don't try to dress it up. I know what I'll do. I'll just have ham. I'll put pineapple on it because it's not good enough the way it is. So fine. Why don't you put peanut butter on it, for that matter? I'm not criticizing you. Actually, I am criticizing, yeah. But no, I pulled that big old hunk of meat out of there, chomped on that meat, and you know what I also did with it? That little piece of that piece of lamb. I went in, and then after I had the big chunk in my hand, I went and got some French's mustard. I went, squirted that on there and ate like that. That's what I did. That meat that came from Easter. How long ago was Easter? 2.5 weeks, something like that. So why did, if you can eat aged beef, how come you can't eat aged lamb? Right? Come on now. Give me the program, people. Culinary tips. Speaking of Chris Matthews, you see he was Chris Matthews is really creepy, man. And you ever hear how he gets along with women?
I guess the question is, once he's testified before Mr. Mueller's special counsel investigation, how can he now say, I won't make the same testimony in public, claiming executive privilege? I think it is sort of like virginity kind of thing. Once you start talking about a matter in your jurisdiction, and then you say, oh, I'm not doing it anymore, you can't talk.
He's on with Kamala Harris, and you should see Kamala Harris wince when he compares executive privilege to virginity while he's talking to a woman. And by the way, there aren't many men who actually utter the word virginity ever in their lifetime. I don't think, right? I mean, it's probably Joe Biden and Chris Matthews who are the lone surviving males of this society who ever utter the words virginity or make any comparisons to virginity. I mean, who does that? Does anybody do that? Who does that? I mean, it's what? What is I don't get it. I should call up. I will eventually call up. I'm sure there's a mashup of video somewhere out there of creepy Chris Matthews with women. At one time, I think there was a woman he was asking to, he said, come closer to the camera because you're so beautiful. I mean, it's like, really, dude? I mean, what is this? With males like Chris Matthews running around the media circles, who's apparently kind of really, something's weird about him. It's no wonder Joe Biden gets away with groping 12-year-old daughters of incoming senators, and nobody's like, well, that's weird. Nobody ever even says that. Here, I'll play it better. But Kamala Harris, to her credit, is like sitting there going, really, Chris? I mean, she's literally wincing.
How can he now say, I won't make the same testimony in public, claiming executive privilege? I think it is sort of like virginity kind of thing. Once you start talking about a matter in your jurisdiction, and then you say, oh, I'm not doing it anymore, you can't.
You should see her face. She actually, good for her. I mean, I don't really like Kamala Harris. I don't agree with her politically, but she seems to have a little bit of personality. But she's like sitting there, you got to be kidding me.
Once you've started, I understand that's how executive privilege works. Once you've given it up, you can't grab it back.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Once you've given it up, you can't, I mean. That's so weird. Ladies, you out there in Common Sense Nation land, if you heard somebody in your office comparing anything to virginity in a conversation, what would you do? Like, how would you react to that person? how would that go over with you? Like, and by the way, guys, what man do you know in your life, like as a friend or whatever else, what man do you know would sit there while you guys are having a beer or whatever and make virginity comparisons? Do you know anybody like that? Or am I just cloistered? Am I not hanging out with the more enlightened people? Maybe am I wrong or am I right about this? Am I like not, am I being a prude or something? Because I don't think I am. I don't think people talk like that normally. And particularly people who are on TV as anchors. Anyway, Kamala Harris was a little bit miffed by the whole
Privilege
thing.
works. Once you've given it up, you can't grab it back. How do you see it?
I'm not going to go with you on that metaphor, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You're talking to a woman. I mean, even, by the way, it's not any more acceptable if you were talking to a man. It's not that it's offensive. It's just really weird. It's just not generally part of the grown-up human vernacular these days, where you're just bouncing the word around, virginity around as a metaphor. And Kamala Harris, to her credit, is like, come on, Chris, really? I mean, I can't believe I'm talking about, right, you're talking to a woman.
Well, I'm not doing it anymore. You can't do it once you've started. I understand that's how executive privilege works. Once you've given it up, you can't grab it back. How do you see it?
I'm not going to go with you on that metaphor, Chris.
Okay.
But I will say this. Dick Durbin did an excellent job of pointing out that there is no, I think, valid reason.
Kamala Harris has the patience of Job here. I'm surprised MSNBC didn't pull a Phil and put up a vomiting baby on there. Don't pull up the vomiting baby. You can, though. Probably be a good move.
Why he, being the Attorney General, should object to Don McGahn coming before the United States Congress and testifying.
I'm sorry about that metaphor I used before.
Yeah, but by this time, somebody has earpieced Chris, saying, I think you need to say something about the virginity metaphor and not just let that sit there, or it's going to come back. It's not like he's sexually harassed somebody, or it's not like he committed some kind of crime or what have you. It just is not, it's not a generally accepted way of conversing among people of 2019 or 2009 or 1973. Maybe during Shakespeare's time there was some talk of that kind of thing, but generally no.
To Don McGahn coming before the United States Congress and testifying.
I'm sorry about that metaphor I used before. I've been admonished already about it, so I really shouldn't have used it. I've heard that phrase used in this context, however.
Oh, yeah? By who? Your buddies? Because I guess that doesn't surprise me that Chris Matthews and his buds sit around while they're spotting each other at the gym, making virginity comparisons. There's a virgin level of poundage for you. Pick that up. Once you pick that up, you can't pick that up anymore. It's like they must be talking like that all the time. You know. Look at this plate of chicken wings. It's a virgin plate of chicken wings. Nobody's touched it yet. Yeah, Chris, once you touch it, you can't go back. Right, exactly. Excuse me, I'm at Walgreens. Do you have a virgin tube of toothpaste that hasn't been opened yet? Yeah, welcome to Walgreens. Yeah. I mean, that must be how I've heard that metaphor used before. You haven't heard it used by a woman, I know that. And you haven't heard it used by any normal male. So that would be my follow-up question to Chris. Okay, so where did you hear that used? That's what I would want to know. Oh, Fun with Idiots on the Common Sense Radio Show, Allman in the Morning, 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. Call Tammy.com real estate listener line at 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We still have one closure with flooding. That's 94 closed both ways between Payne Road and Solly Road with flooding. And now 70 westbound, an accident in the acceleration lane at 270. See it from the jam cam at 270. No delays yet there. 270 northbound's gotten heavier. Tesson Ferry to Manchester, the backup. 55 southbound, 64 to the 5544 underpass is slow. 6440 eastbound Boone's Crossing to Timberlake Manor heavy. Westbound Hampton to Laclede Station tightening too. Traffic is sponsored by Think It Up. Think It Up is a new initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Ladies and gents, Banner Construction, so proud to have Banner back in the Allman in the Morning fold. And considering that they were my original sponsors, I mean, I had no one advertising on my show before Banner Construction, which was great. And this was some 14, 15 years ago when they first joined the Allman in the Morning brand. And then, of course, there was a little bit of a hiatus, as you all know, for the past year. Then the minute I came back on the air, Bill and Sam were like, boom, we're back in it, buddy. We're ready to rock and roll with you. And I was ready to rock and roll with them, having been an avid customer of theirs and also very proud of their workmanship. And I have to tell you, and this is, I would never tell you a mistruth or embellish anything for you on this level. And I have, in the 15 years that I have represented Banner Construction, I have never received one complaint about them, about their work, about their products. There was one time, I think, a long time ago, where somebody from, Columbia complained that Banner wouldn't come to Columbia. But, I mean, other than that, that was it. So, I mean, 15 years, and believe me, if there was ever anybody who they had a problem, they'd always feel free to go ahead and email me or call me or do whatever. Not one time. That's pretty amazing. That's a great track record, and one I don't think any other construction people can tell you is true with them. So Banner Construction is a James Hardie fiber cement siding. This is lasting half a century. This is a great product that you're going to love on your house. It's going to increase the value of your house. It's going to also make sure that the cool stays in the summer and the heat stays in the winter, and it's a great insulating quality that it has. And then also they're the preferred installer of James Hardie fiber cement siding. They do that. They do the vinyl siding. They do the wood windows. On down the line, they're going to help you with great pricing. Drop my name. Tell them Jamie sent you. BannerConstruction.com, 314-569-1050.
Imagine doing one thing that gives you an entirely different perspective about your place in the world. Think it would be worth it? Dennis Prager here, inviting you to join me for a 10-day Stand with Israel tour, a tour through the land of Israel in December 2019. Come with me to get first-hand insight into Israel's fascinating past and promising future. Walk the ancient temple steps, sail on the Sea of Galilee, and so many more unforgettable moments. Return home inspired, renewed, and empowered. If you've ever dreamed of seeing Israel, this is your opportunity. With expert guides and important lectures at key sites, we'll be together in the comfort and safety of luxurious accommodations the whole time. Join me for a life-changing adventure to give you a renewed sense of purpose.
Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher for an unforgettable guided tour through Israel this December 2nd through 11th. Book your trip now at theanswerstl.com.
Curtains, shades, blinds, shutters. What are the best for living rooms or bedrooms? Let me tell you about the quality customized service you will receive when you call Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael Proctor is an interior designer with exceptional expertise when it comes to window treatments for your home or business. Michael Proctor has served our St. Louis area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He is also a top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your first first choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Call Michael Proctor today and schedule your in-home consultation with Michael's mobile design unit. He will come to you. Weekend and evening appointments are available. The one-on-one appointment with Michael Proctor will ensure the look is exactly what you're looking for in your home or business. Cut down on the risk of error and make your home great again. Proctor Drapery is the answer. Schedule your appointment today with Michael. Contact Michael at proctordrapery.com. It's Proctor spelled like doctor.
Larry Elder, tonight.
Oh, Lord. Can you imagine that IQ contest between Sheila Jackson Lee and Barr? But have fun this morning, people. Have fun this morning. You really look good holding your you-know-what's in your hands in front of all your microphones. It's fantastic. Thank goodness the administration, the Justice Department, is finally stopping playing the game with the Democrats and making them do a little work for once. And then them and Shepard Smith and the rest of the gang can go ahead and do whatever they need to do today. It was embarrassing yesterday, Chris Wallace and Shepard Smith. They're really angry about the opinion people like Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity on the shows, which of course they shouldn't be, because that's the only reason Fox News exists, is because of these people in the evening time paying the bills. That's pretty much it. Coming up, two things that are, I fear. As I told you before, we already have a voluntary evacuation order in West Alton because of flooding. And are we going to have another community burned down this summer thanks to an errant prosecution? All that straight ahead.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. True to his word, Attorney General Barr did not show this morning to testify before the House Judiciary Committee. As it takes a closer look at the Mueller report, Barr objected to conditions for his testimony set out by the Democrats. The Attorney General not afraid to testify on Capitol Hill, though, as he demonstrated yesterday when he spent 6 hours before the Senate Judiciary Committee. A 22-year-old man accused of fatally shooting 2 students and wounding 4 others in a classroom at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, is due in court later today. Demonstrators expected to take to the streets of Caracas again today, demanding the resignation of embattled Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Stocks opening lower this morning on Wall Street. Right now, the Dow is down 48 points, the S&P off 3 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We've got a little bit of everything out there. 70 westbound, a crash in the acceleration lane at 270. You can see it from the jam cam at 270. We have 94 closed in both directions between Payne Road and Solly Road with flooding in St. Charles County. 270 northbound backed up, Gravois to Manchester. Delays on 55 southbound 64 to the 5544 underpass. 70 eastbound heavy, Route A to 79, and then First Capital to St. Charles Rock, and 70 westbound, your delay there is Shreve to Lucas and Hunt. Traffic is sponsored by Think It Up. Think It Up is a new initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380, The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect through this evening. Cloudy with a couple of showers. Thunderstorm early today, high 69. A passing shower this evening. Otherwise cloudy tonight, low 54. Cloudy with a passing shower tomorrow afternoon, the high 66. And then Saturday, a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise a cloudy day, the high Saturday at 66. I'm Steve Williams with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Hey folks, Allman here. I hope to see you Thursday, May 9th in beautiful Brentwood for Allman and Elder in the evening. That's right, Larry Elder coming to St. Louis, and we're going to wow you from the View 17 stage. And ladies and gents, if you pay $79 for the VIP ticket, what you're going to get in return, free drinks, free food, a free book, a lot like me from Larry Elder, the world-famous book about his dad. He's going to sign that for you. We'll take pictures. We'll take a tour of the beautiful Allman in the Morning studio, and you're going to get a great show from that gorgeous stage. It's Allman and Elder in the evening. Tickets available not only at the VIP level, but also at the general admission level for $13.80 at theanswerstl.com. Allman in the evening, sponsored by Dryden Camus Insurance, the answer to your health insurance needs. KDDI-INS.
Joe Walsh sees anti-Semitism everywhere.
Anti-Semitism is a disease. And if we don't contain it, it will spread. In fact, I don't know of another hate that you can find equally on the far fringe right and the far fringe left.
The Joe Walsh radio program. Weeknights at 8 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Breaking news. Stimulating talk. Hey, don't just listen to Allman in the Morning. See the show at theanswerstl.com. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 1.
One idiot. Who's the guy with the holding a rooster in this news conference on Capitol Hill? Steve Cohen holding a rooster or a chicken. He's saying that I guess Barr is chicken. So he's holding up like a toy chicken. What a bunch of idiots! But I'll tell you what, you have a whole cast of nincompoops on this committee. It's no wonder Barr said he wasn't going to show up on this thing. I mean, it's like talking to a kennel of dogs. My goodness gracious. You've got Steve Cohen. You've got Sheila Jackson Lee on the committee. I mean, Ted Lieu, who is quite possibly one of the biggest dopes on the committee. And they're all taking turns in front of the microphone because they're all so butthurt over Barr telling them to take a hike. Taking turns complaining about the whole thing.
Guam guy.
And I'm about to get to him.
Oh.
Then you have Hakeem Jeffries, who's another dope from New York. First of all, how are these people on the House Judiciary Committee? I mean, you have a collective IQ of about 20. And then, of course, you have Hank Johnson on the committee, too. And I think all Barr has to do today is tell people, I'm so happy I narrowly dodged a question about Guam capsizing. Got my iPad up.
Have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
That's the person who's asking questions. That's the mental midget that Barr would have to reduce his dignity to listen to at a House Judiciary Committee hearing. My goodness gracious! It looks like the Washington Park Board of Aldermen in front of those microphones. No offense to the Washington Park Board of Aldermen, but my goodness gracious, I didn't even realize there were that many dopes on that committee. I mean, they're all in one basket. It's crazy. Yes, Mr. Barr, I have a question for you.
My fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
Yeah, capsize. Yeah, great. Is that the? So I hope, or I wish Trump would like tweet out the video or something. And say, so sorry to hear that Mr. Barr will be missing the interrogation of Hank Williams because he's not adequately briefed on whether or not Guam will capsize. And just have the video of Hank Johnson talking about, I'm afraid Guam will capsize. That will be funny. But the appearing before that committee is beneath him. I'm telling you, and I'm glad he's leaving these people in the dust. Because by the way, no American is sitting there wondering what Sheila Jackson Lee thinks about the whole thing, or what Ted Lieu thinks about the whole thing, or whatever. I thought Ocasio-Cortez. I thought Ilhan Omar was on. I don't know. I can't. I just think it's funny. I think it's great. It's watching these frustrated dopes all just don't know what to do now instead of standing in front of and actually CNN is taking the entire news conference live, so we're getting a rich vast array of the circus there. Oh man, I had no idea. Steve Koenig is holding a chicken. Yeah, you're holding a chicken, all right. It's just not the chicken we have in mind. It's the one, well, no, I better not say that. Just not going to say it. But you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, two things I need to get to before I get to Bridget Van Means with Thrive and what's going on today regarding a fundraising drive for all kinds of really great nonprofits that are doing great work on behalf of the pro-life movement and putting together a plan for women so that they have a choice. A lot of times the reason why, well, I'll get to it in a little bit after this. Two things are going on this morning, meanwhile. One is getting news that, as I told you early on, it was flooding in March. There was some flood problems in March, and I said at the time, I said, this isn't good. This isn't a positive development because it's too early to be flooding already. And already West Alton, this is about 2 months earlier than West Alton when I was up in the flood of 93, covering West Alton specifically. It wasn't until after the July 4th holiday that we wound up being dispatched there and being there for most of the month. And that's when it was high flooding. We were canoeing and ducking power lines. And and that's not my Hillary Clinton. We were ducking firefighters as firefights as we landed. I mean, we were literally the water was so high. So now, of course, there's been a voluntary evacuation order issued for West Alton. So we're praying for everybody up there in those areas there. And of course, then you have the Elsa's Island. Have you ever been to Elsa's? Elsa's Landing? That area, that whole area of Grafton. that whole beautiful area up there. I'm hoping for the best for the folks in those areas. But West Dalton now has a voluntary evacuation order going because of flooding up there. And then also I'm expressing concern, and again, I'm not trying to incite anything here. I'm expressing concern for the city of Ladue and just this community in general. After Wesley Bell inexplicably charged this Ladue police officer with felony assault in the wake of her mistakenly shooting instead of tasing a shoplifting suspect there, who thankfully did in fact survive, or so far is surviving. The family has been more than gracious about the matter, even to the point of saying they're praying for the police officer. So, but I'm wondering, first of all, how long is that going to last in terms of the family and the city and everybody else maintaining some kind of, some kind of level of serenity over the matter before suddenly the Black Lives Matter agitators get a hold of this thing. They already have. They were already out there the day after the shooting in the Schnucks parking lot there. And Wesley Bell then decides, and I know I've interviewed Wesley Bell before. I never considered him to be a draconian, crazy left-winger. He always seemed very sensible to me, but he knows that the people who elected him, they elected him because of Ferguson. They elected him because of the failure to send Darren Wilson to jail. They ran McCullough out because of that one issue. And Wesley Bell knows that. In fact, he campaigned pledging to do more about police misconduct and that kind of stuff. One of the pledges that Wesley Bell made was to, in all cases of police shootings, he would have a special prosecutor. That was his promise during the campaign. So what did he do the first time that we had a police shooting? He didn't hire a special prosecutor. He handled it himself. Which is interesting because that's not what he said he was going to do. And also interesting because there's a good chance a special prosecutor would look at this case and say, all right, so she says that she pulled her gun instead of her intended taser, and she made a mistake. Obviously, a 13-year veteran shouldn't make a mistake like that. But she says she made a mistake and so did not intend to shoot this woman and instead intended to tase her, which is something that police officers do to get people under control, even fleeing suspects, which is what this woman was. A taser, it's like you can't shoot somebody in the back with a taser. Yeah, you can. Because if they've committed a crime and then, of course, you assume or you've seen them commit an assault or assaulted you, at that point you must subdue them. And a taser is a subduing agent, not a agent that is supposed to be. So when a police officer is under threat, that's gun time. When they want to subdue you, that's taser time. So unfortunately, the police officer made the mistake of making it gun time, but accidentally. She says you'd have to assume that that a 13-year veteran who, by the way, a year and a half ago was hailed as a hero for saving someone's life. You have to assume that this police officer decided she was just going to try to shoot a fleeing shoplifting suspect in the back for the hell of it. That's an assumption no jury is going to make. You have to have actually proof that that happened, and there's no way you can prove that this police officer intended to shoot this woman. So, Wesley Bell and a special prosecutor would know that and probably not be able to, and probably not come to the conclusion that it was time to charge somebody with felony assault. Wesley Bell did, though. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is, although it's fortunate for justice, it's unfortunate for the community, is that she's not going to be convicted on felony assault. Or at least the likelihood of her being convicted on felony assault is very, very slim. So what happens when she goes to trial? Because you know damn well she will. Because she's a police officer and she's got her life and career on the line here. And I believe that the felony assault charge is punishable by 7 to 10 years in prison. So you're darn tootin' this police officer's going to fight this charge. So, in all likelihood, this will go to trial. What's going to happen when it goes to trial and the jury acquits her? Well, you know what's going to happen because you know that once Wesley Bell has charged her with felony assault, anything other than that is going to create problems. Because that's how the Black Lives Matter people and the Al Sharpton the Al Sharpton lights deal with things in St. Louis when they don't like verdicts. So we saw it in St. Louis City. We saw it in St. Louis County. And so what Wesley Bell did, and I am giving him the benefit of the doubt, but in this case, the act is the act. What Wesley Bell did is set up the possibility that we're going to have a very long, contentious summer in St. Louis County and Ladue again. And unfortunately, we're all trapped now because what's going to happen is, will Wesley Bell plead this out? And what happens when he does? Wesley Bell was elected as a guy who was finally going to take up and take on police. So Wesley Bell, in my opinion, has no intention of pleading this thing down. And right now, anything less than conviction on a felony assault charge in this case is going to result in more protests. That's what Wesley Bell has set up. Now, I hope he didn't intend for this to be the case, to kind of burnish his cred and create a level of social activism in the prosecuting attorney's office. I hope that wasn't his intention. And knowing him, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he seems to be a reasonable person. I don't really agree with his policies and his approaches, but he seems to be a reasonable person. He's not just some protester off the street here. But this is what it is. This is what we're left with now is a police officer, another police officer in the St. Louis County area charged and overcharged and will likely walk. And then suddenly you're going to have a schnooks burned to the ground. Just telling you. I hope it doesn't happen. That's not what I would hope. It's not what I'm trying to push. But just keep an eye on that. Your phone calls are welcome. The calltammy.com real estate listener lines 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We're still holding on to two accidents. 270 westbound is stop and go from Missouri Bottom Road now to before St. Charles Rock, where a left lane is blocked with a crash. We can see it from the jam cam at St. Charles Rock. 70 westbound, you have an accident in the acceleration lane at 270. We have reports of a crash at Mid-Rivers Mall Drive southbound after Ohms Road. 270 northbound backed up Big Bend to Manchester, but that's eased up quite a bit. And 70 eastbound, Blanchette Bridge to 270 delays. Westbound, it's Shreve to Lucas and Hunt. Traffic is sponsored by TrainInfo.com Heating and Cooling. Enjoy comfort year-round with a new Train heating and cooling system. At Train, they test so it runs. For a limited time, you can get a great deal on a qualifying new Train system. Visit traininfo.com to find your local dealer. That's traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
All right, folks, you're a business in the health field or the financial field or whatever field it is, and suddenly somebody sends you an email or does something. I don't know how ransomware actually works all the time, but they send you something and say, hey, we've frozen your whole operation here. Unless you pay us, we're going to shut you down and pull your business to the ground. Well, that's what ransomware does, and you can't survive that if you haven't backed up your system, and you can't survive that if you don't have ThrottleNet helping you do just that. ThrottleNet.com, back with Common Sense Radio, and of course, as always, really doing great work in protecting businesses from the nefarious hackers and malware artists out there. And this is a situation where you've got a factor here. And that is that when you are down by for a minute, sometimes it can cost you $5,000 a minute. That's how costly it is for your system to be down. Or when you have somebody access personal information of your customers aren't coming back. These are destructive forces, these black hats and these malware artists. And ThrottleNet, they're the white hats, so they know all the ins and outs. They can start to look for the holes in your system, pretending to be hackers, and then they'll fill them because they're the good guys, not the bad ones. And also, they have a 24/7 help desk available to you whenever you need it. So obviously, there's the 24/7 factor there. So if you have a problem in one way, shape, or form, all you have to do is call them, and they're there either virtually by remote or they're at your doorstep helping you out. ThrottleNet.com. It's ThrottleNet.com.
KXFN, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Curtains, shades, blinds, shutters. What are the best for living rooms or bedrooms? Let me tell you about the quality customized service you will receive when you call Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael Proctor is an interior designer with exceptional expertise when it comes to window treatments for your home or business. Michael Proctor has served our St. Louis area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He is also a top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your first choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Call Michael Proctor today and schedule your in-home consultation with Michael's mobile design unit. He will come to you. Weekend and evening appointments are available. The one-on-one appointment with Michael Proctor will ensure the look is exactly what you're looking for in your home or business. Cut down on the risk of error and make your home great again. Proctor Drapery is the answer. Schedule your appointment today with Michael. Contact Michael at proctordrapery.com. It's Proctor spelled like doctor.
Joe Walsh, tonight at 8. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
It's 8:55, and Gerald had called in saying, well, what do you think the punishment should be for the police officer? I'll address that at 9 o'clock. The bottom line is second-degree felony assault is overcharging. That means you've punted it into a category that becomes far more serious, and a jury knows that. And before they send a police officer to prison for 7 to 10 years over a mistake, they definitely will consider that and in likelihood not do it. Just telling you. Bridget Van Means from Thrive. Bridget, how's Thrive doing, by the way?
Hey, let me come off cloud 9 so I can talk to my best friend, Jamie. We're so excited to have you back. St. Louis is celebrating every day.
Thank you, Bridget.
So excited to have you back.
You've been a dear friend, and you have been such a trooper for the pro-life movement. And as we've said before, a lot of what we do in the pro-life arena is support the choice of life. And that's what ThriveSTL.com does, ThriveSTL.org does. That's what you've been doing on every level. And so you texted me last night saying, hey, we got a big push right now because we need the support of what we do. So how's that going to manifest itself?
Yeah, so first of all, We want to thank our community. Last night at midnight, you guys made us the #1 nonprofit in all of St. Louis. Many, many great causes. We're talking the top nonprofits, national nonprofits. And Give St. Louis Day, they themselves had a record for raising money for nonprofits, but Thrive finished #1. And you helped make that happen, so we're so excited. So Thrive is the #1 nonprofit this morning. And I have good, super exciting news, and then a little bit of crazy news. You've always been great at breaking important health updates. And so one of the things you helped us do was break the Planned Parenthood ambulance scandal. So interestingly and shockingly, the St. Louis Planned Parenthood, which is, by the way, the last standing abortion clinic performing abortions in the state of Missouri, we're almost abortion-free. We are the most dangerous abortion clinic in the United States based on ambulance visits. There's a crazy amount of ambulance activity at this particular location. The last time I was on your show, we had about 68. We're now up to 73. And, Jamie, 2 of those just in the last 10 days or so. So now you're getting this rapid succession of ambulances. So we want to make sure that people understand the public safety issue that's at hand, making sure that women understand that this particular clinic, now, of course, we don't love any of them, but this particular clinic, the St. Louis Clinic, is the most dangerous abortion clinic in the country. So we want to get that out. But I then followed up and said to you, Jamie, we've got some amazing stuff going on in Missouri. So Missouri is a very unique state when it comes to affirming life. And I love how you and I share this pivot from, just a focus on the baby to putting that focus on the woman, putting it on her safety, her emotional, her physical safety. And so pro-life leaders across the state have really come together to provide holistic kind of good Samaritan approaches to the unplanned pregnancy, coming alongside her, equipping her with education, with services, and walking her through that whole pregnancy. And we call that the life-affirming movement, and I know that you have always been a champion of that. So a few years ago, we set it our goal to unite all of the pro-life leaders, the lawmakers, the frontliners, the media folks like you, to put together a holistic plan. And we just got our 2018 data, and Jamie, the bottom has fallen out of abortion in Missouri. We are down 65%. When we began this goal of unity, we were seeing about 7,000 abortions a year in Missouri. It dropped down to 2,400 last year. The bottom has fallen out, and now with the heartbeat bill poised to pass, we are looking at an abortion-free Missouri. Remember, the heartbeat bill will eliminate all abortions once the heartbeat is detected.
Bridget, I want to talk to you more about that. I've got 15 seconds here, so if you don't mind, I'm going to put you on hold and come back and double back on the ambulance scandal regarding Planned Parenthood, the clinic there, and double back on the heartbeat bill, and also just wrap up exactly how great Thrive is here in St. Louis. So stand by, Bridget Van Means. It's Common Sense Radio.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. True to his word, Attorney General Barr, a no-show this morning before the House Judiciary Committee, wanted to ask more questions about the Mueller report.
Barr skipping the hearing in a dispute with Democrats over plans to allow committee lawyers to take part of the questioning. Georgia Republican Doug Collins.
The reason Bill Barr is not here today is because the Democrats decided they didn't want him here today.
We didn't choose not to have Mr. Barr come. He chose.
Chairman Jerry Nadler.
We cannot permit him or anybody in the administration to dictate the manner in which we function.
Nadler adjourning the hearing, vowing the committee will get the answers it needs to conduct oversight.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines, Chairman Nadler threatening to hold Barr in contempt of Congress. Yesterday, the Attorney General spent 6 hours before the Senate Judiciary Committee. One senator raising some serious questions about the origins of the Russia collusion investigation.
Senator Lindsey Graham says one thing's for sure about the FBI probe into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server.
We know that the person in charge of investigating
hated Trump's guts.
Graham says he'd like to know if that hatred led to Hillary Clinton being exonerated despite the evidence.
And that counterintelligence investigation of the Trump campaign was warranted.
The agent heading that investigation vowing in text messages to stop Trump from being elected. Bob Agnew reporting.
Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado, the latest Democrat to announce he's running for president, says he had planned to announce sooner but paused after being diagnosed with prostate cancer.
I was cleared with a clean bill of health. That gave me a chance to think about whether I really wanted to run or not.
And Bennett tells CBS this morning he decided he does want to run. He's seeking the party's presidential nomination for 2020. Wall Street, the Dow up 15 points, the S&P better by 5, and the NASDAQ Composite Index 26 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Well, once again, we're accident-free. The crash on 170 southbound after Page is cleared. You do still have a bit of a delay back to 70. Now, 270 northbound, still pretty tight. Gravois to Manchester. Westbound 367 to West Florissant backing up. Delays on 55 southbound 64 to the 5544 underpass. 6440 eastbound Chesterfield Airport Road to Timberlake Manor. That's our heavy spot. And then 170 to Big Bend slow. Westbound Hampton to Laclede Station. And 70 eastbound jammed up. Route A to 79 First Capital to St. Charles Rock. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect through this evening. Cloudy with a couple of showers. Thunderstorm early today, high 69. A passing shower this evening. Otherwise cloudy tonight, low 54. Cloudy with a passing shower tomorrow afternoon, the high 66. And then Saturday, a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise a cloudy day, the high Saturday at 66. I'm Steve Williams with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Dennis Prager explains where your vote should lie.
They measure their solidarity with a candidate based on whether they like the person. I will acknowledge that that has never been a factor in whether or not I support somebody for president. In these positions, likability is irrelevant.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekday mornings at 11 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Breaking news. Stimulating talk.
Results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not filed your returns, the IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. One call to Wall & Associates, and your tax problems are solved. Wall has saved clients over $150 million in the last 5 years. Our average client settles for about 10% of what is owed. With one call to Wall, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again. We offer free face-to-face consultations in your local area. Remember, Wall has a proven track record with a total client savings over $150 million. Call now for your free face-to-face consultation.
800-660-2294. That's 800-660-2294. 800-660-2294.
This hour of Allman in the Morning is brought to you in part by Dr. Anna Smith. Come see what your smile can be at Dentistry with TLC.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
All right, welcome back to Allman in the Morning. Call Tammy.com real estate listener lines 844-855-1380. Want to wrap up the conversation with Bridget Van Means, a longtime friend of mine, and ThriveSTL.org, a longtime friend of life. And I have to tell you, early on when I got involved with Thrive, this was a long time ago, and I remember when you guys almost were just kind of starting out and were just getting, or at least exponentially growing. And I had a tour of Thrive, and you all had these ultrasound machines and everything else. And you all told me that once these women come in, and all they have to hear or see is a heartbeat, and their entire outlook changes. And then all they have to see is people at Thrive saying, you know what? Once you have the baby, we're going to be able to set you up with educational opportunities, employment opportunities, even diapers. All these things that wind up because Thrive and you, Bridget, and me have always accepted that we're never really truly going to believe that women truly want to have an abortion. We do know that there are women who have abortions only because they feel like they have no choice, or like the father's nowhere to be found anywhere, and they're young. They don't know whether they're going to have a life or a job, or they're going to be able to take care of the baby, and so they make these calculations. And so Thrive fills those blanks in beautifully. And I realize that the heartbeat bill helps because that's another example. But I would venture to guess those numbers you just repeated about the numbers of abortions just decrease. I have to say, must be in large part to the efforts, the organic efforts in the community like Thrive's and you.
Yes, absolutely. What Thrive was able to do was to work well with the lawmakers to put a focus on protecting women through the laws and giving them space to think. Like a great bill was that 72-hour wait bill.
Yeah.
So now when a gal sees her baby ultrasound, she waits 3 days before she makes a decision. So real beauty there. But the bottom line is what's so exciting. You know that I love my nonprofit work, but I'm a businesswoman at heart. And I felt like Thrive could build a superior model of women's health care, that rather than going after the morality of the issue front-facing with our patients, that we would just provide a better service experience. And so we built the world-class centers. They're physically and aesthetically beautiful. They're kind of like the Starbucks of women's health care. And so they get a really fresh, positive experience, obviously dynamic, passionate healthcare workers. All of the services are free, Jamie, so free ultrasound, free pregnancy tests, free STD tests. So let's build this superior front-facing model, and let's go after Planned Parenthood's market share like elegant, sophisticated business people. And guess what? The patient, the consumer, is choosing Thrive every day over Planned Parenthood. And so as their spreadsheet is decreasing, Thrive's is increasing. So, yeah, no doubt about it. You know, the top 10 abortion zip codes that we call them, where the girls are really having the abortions, those are in Thrive's territory. And what we have proven is that we have a model that will upend Planned Parenthood, especially when we partner with the sidewalk workers and with our lawmakers and with the media. You know, you helping us get the word out about how dangerous that abortion clinic was, that just made a huge, huge difference. And so I want to make sure that people understand this 65% plunge is unprecedented. If you look state by state, something unique is happening here in Missouri. And then when you team that with this upcoming heartbeat bill, we will essentially have eliminated abortion in our state. We're losing sleep over it. You know, we're giddy and excited. And I wanted to make sure that news was breaking with you first, Jamie.
Well, good for you. You know, it's so funny because and thanks to Nick Schroer, who I just talked to the other day with the heartbeat bill, shepherding that through. But you know what? Senator Bob Onder a while back, I remember that they were just trying to get the abortion clinics to adopt the same kind of medical standards that a regular medical facility would. I remember Planned Parenthood being so upset about that and so crazy about that. Then it turns out that you've got ambulances showing up all the time over there. And it's like, no wonder that's something that is needed.
Yes, and here's, you know, when you compare the number of ambulances that are showing up at that clinic compared to other services that are offered, there's no comparison. So we just want to make sure that the governor knows that the people support an immediate investigation of Planned Parenthood. It would be obvious that it should be shut down while they're doing this investigation. We can't keep having ambulances roll up into that parking lot. Jamie, they take the girls out on a stretcher. She's covered in a white sheet. We have no idea if she's alive or dead. Typically, it's for hemorrhaging. You know, we pulled those 911 calls. And, well, you know, one of my friends is an ER doctor, and she has just recently pulled me aside and said, listen, our waiting room is being flooded with girls from these abortion clinics that are hemorrhaging. So it's very, very serious. That's life-threatening. and we really need to get to the bottom. I mean, the pro-choice movement promised us safe, rare abortion, and that's been the biggest scam in 40 years, right? So my grandparents and your grandparents allowed that Roe v. Wade thing to slide past us with the promise of rare and safe, and we've gotten neither from that industry. So it's time to start holding them accountable. We need to know why they're hurting these women, why it's happening so frequently, particularly at that location. And so we just thank you for helping us just get that safety alert out today, because it is life-threatening. There's no doubt about it.
All right. Well, Bridget Van Means, congratulations on the success last night involving ThriveSTL.org. And please let us know how we can help you out. I know you can text free test to 25827. That's a phone number you offer.
25827. Yeah.
And so how else can we help Thrive?
Just make sure that your representatives understand that Missouri is a life-affirming culture. Make sure they know that they have our back, as they're going. This heartbeat bill will be one of just a couple handfuls that have been bold enough to pass it. They're going to need to make sure they have our back. And then, just keep the focus on the woman. She's not a bad person when she's thinking about abortion. She's a frightened person. And, us as little girls, we all grow up with our baby dolls. We want to be moms. We really do. But when we're scared, we can make some bad choices.
Right.
So if anyone has that opportunity to come alongside, send them to Thrive, and we'll come alongside and help them make a good choice for their life.
All right. Bridget Van Means, congratulations, and thank you for all the work you have done and your folks have done on behalf of life. It's a privilege having you on the air with me. Thank you for all your support throughout this time, and thanks for coming back on to Common Sense Radio, my dear.
Absolutely. We're super fans for life.
All right. Okay. Take care. That's Bridget Van Means. A lot of energy there on behalf of life. That's for sure. All right. Earlier, I mentioned to you this thing with the Poynter Institute. So Breitbart, which is a unbelievably well put together news site. All right. I'm surprised actually the Poynter Institute didn't pick on the Gateway Pundit, but Jim Hoft and his team narrowly avoided the whole thing regarding the Poynter Institute listing 515 sites, and Daily Signal was one of them. That's where Genevieve Wood and the rest of the guys write, was one of the 515 news outlets blacklisted as biased or fake or whatever happened to be by an organization called the Poynter Institute. Now, the Poynter Institute is one of these think tanks down in St. Petersburg, Florida. It really is actually quite an insufferable organization, because I was down there for a seminar a while back. I got to know a couple of the people there who I actually liked. But for the most part, it was one of these self-congratulatory things. I went down there kind of to do some seminar and investigative reporting or whatever. And by the way, the Poynter Institute, oddly enough, and the trip to Florida is why I have my dolphin tattoo on my shoulder. You see, people? Because some of us got those as a result of our Florida mission down there to be so-called better driven. I'm making a muscle, too. Look at me. I've got my bruise there from Aiden beating me half to death. But that's where I got my, this is 1999, and I got my my dolphin tattoo. And so, Poynter, thank you for the dolphin tattoo idea. But nonetheless, so I'm down there, and these guys, and we're going to all these seminars and things like that. But for the most part, it's all this kind of drudgery. It's just as, you know, it's this you are the most important part of your community, and that was back in the day, actually back in 1999 when actually there was a modicum of decency. But since then, they've become this activist left-wing institute that claims to be the arbiter of all things truthful. So they put out a list, and this is, of course, a McCarthyite blacklist, because they say that we're putting out the list because this will be useful for advertisers that want to stop funding misinformation. So Breitbart, of all places, Breitbart, the same organization that blew up the Trayvon Martin hoax, the hands up, don't shoot hoax, the Donald Trump can't win hoax, the Russia collusion hoax, the Brett Kavanaugh serial rapist hoax, the Covington High School boys hoax. Every news organization, NPR, ABC, CBS, PBS, NBC, MSNBC, Politico, BuzzFeed, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all perpetrated and advanced all 6 of these hoaxes. The Trayvon Martin hoax, the hands up, don't shoot hoax, Donald Trump can't win hoax, Russia collusion hoax, Brett Kavanaugh serial rapist hoax, the Covington High School students hoax. Those were all advanced by news organizations that are not on the list. They're not on the list of the 515 lack of credibility news organizations, but there are 6 major hoaxes that have been advanced by news organizations that the Poynter Institute hasn't bothered to include on its warning list of bad players in the media. Can you believe that? So much for the Poynter Institute's angle on this. You know, and in fact, it's not only Breitbart or conservative sites like Daily Signal. The Daily Cause was listed as a source that is not credible. Now, keep in mind, the Daily Cause is a left-wing, fire-breathing website. And so, but nonetheless, to call them somehow that they are out for bias, it's like, wait a second, though. They serve a purpose as a left-wing website. Breitbart serves a purpose as a conservative site that blows the lid off all the mistruths out there. You look at it, Poynter, everything you need to be a better journalist. What a bunch of crap that is, the Poynter Institute. They should call it the Pointy-Headed Journalists Institute, because that's what they are. But to sit here and put out a list as a guide for advertisers to stop funding this is ridiculous. And my only supposition about them calling out a left-wing website or left-wing news site, the only thing I could possibly fathom is the reason for that is because Daily Kos competes with left-wing CBS, left-wing NBC, left-wing New York Times, left-wing Washington Post, left-wing CNN, left-wing MSNBC. That's the only way I could see that Poynter is trying to undermine the Daily Kos, is because they're competition for all of the Poynter's buddies. Because what you have here are the Poynter Fellows. You know, these organizations, they always name these fellows. Yeah. So, Brian Williams, a fellow, or Brian Ross, a fellow. A Poynter Institute fellow. And so they have all these people, but they never have a fellow from any kind of non-mainstream news organization at all. It's always from CBS, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, whatever it happens to be. They'll never have a fellow from any other alternative news source because they're not for alternative news. They're there. Poynter Institute is there to prop up the mainstream media. And they put out a list, basically a blacklist for advertisers, that is just your guide to sources of news that are totally wrong. And Breitbart, by the way, I haven't had an example. I haven't seen an example where they have exposed all the mistruths about the Russia collusion. They have been great when it comes to exposing the reality of illegal aliens. And so and the Mexico drug cartels and everything else, they've been great at that. And the Daily Signal's been outstanding. You kidding me? And if I were a left-winger or a Democrat, I'd appreciate what Daily Kos is doing. Pretty unreal. You can call the Tammy.com real estate listener line at 844-855-1380. And at 9:30, yes, Father Tom is in for his regular segment, which will be every Thursday at 9:30 because he's trucking in right after Mass. So you're going to get him alive and kicking in the aftermath of saying Mass out there in God's country. So we'll have that in Darden Prairie. So we'll have that for you as well. And if you have any questions for Father Tom, load them up. Call Tammy.com real estate listener lines 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
Live from the Arrowhead Building Supply Studio, this is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Imagine doing one thing that gives you an entirely different perspective about your place in the world. Think it would be worth it? Dennis Prager here inviting you to join me for a 10-day Stand with Israel tour, a tour through the land of Israel in December 2019. Come with me to get firsthand insight into Israel's fascinating past and promising future. Walk the ancient temple steps, sail on the Sea of Galilee, and so many more unforgettable moments. Return home inspired, renewed, and empowered. If you've ever dreamed of seeing Israel, this is your opportunity. With expert guides and important lectures at key sites, we'll be together in the comfort and safety of luxurious accommodations the whole time. Join me for a life-changing adventure to give you a renewed sense of purpose.
Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher for an unforgettable guided tour through Israel this December 2nd through 11th. Book your trip now at theanswerstl.com.
All right, folks, I want to tell you about a secret in most of the insurance industry. And wouldn't it be great if you get somebody to pay premiums for insurance and then really never have to pay them when they make a claim? Well, that's kind of been a fixture in the insurance business. And how they do that is they take your premiums, yada, love that, and they jack up your deductibles. So, and you actually don't even know it because you don't really know what a high deductible is or what a low one is because you might not study that kind of thing. So suddenly you have a deductible and then suddenly you make a claim and then suddenly you realize, oh, darn, really? $5,000 deductible on my home? Ooh, didn't know that. Well, Matthew Mitchell needs to take a look at your insurance policy that you have right now. What he'll do is he'll notice, like he did with mine, when I approached him a while back, when I first met him, great guy, and just trusted him solely. And so when he saw my home and car insurance, he goes, man, your deductibles are way out of line here. You're never going to collect on any insurance claim at this rate. So we got out of that, tore it up, and went right with the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. And now I am joyfully experiencing low deductibles and low premiums all at the same time. That rarity there. Thanks to the fact that Allstate Insurance Agency is the largest publicly traded insurance company in the world. And so they've got wiggle room. They don't have to nickel and dime you. And they're not going to do that. They're going to make things happen for you because they don't have to sit there and squeeze every dime out of you. That is also manifesting itself in great deals for young drivers and in great deals for new homeowners, all those kinds of things. So Matthew and his team, 70 years in the insurance business collectively. So these guys know all the ins and outs, and he does life insurance too. It's the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency, 855-QUOTE-ME, 855-QUOTE-ME.
Did you know that every dollar you put into a piece of real estate makes you money 5 ways? Cash flow, money in your pocket each month. Equity capture, the thousands of dollars you create when you have the right team and buy the right property using the right map. Appreciation, real estate doubles in value about every 20 years. Equity buildup, renters pay down your mortgage each month. And finally, the tax advantage. We pay almost no taxes on our cash flow and capital gains. These are the 5 ways we make money in real estate, which is why real estate accounts for more millionaires in the world today than any other investment vehicle. You should have some real estate in your portfolio. To learn how, attend one of our free workshops. Call 866-971-8970 or go to 5wayswemakemoney.com and register for the next available workshop. That's 866-971-8970 or go to 5wayswemakemoney.com.
So the MyPillow is now in the hands. I'm just spreading the wealth when it comes to MyPillow. Maxie has the MyPillow, and now Phil has the MyPillow. I have the MyPillow. So we're all big one MyPillow happy family. And let me tell you, you can be part of the gang too. You can be part of the MyPillow club by using my code Jamie at mypillow.com/Jamie. And there you're going to be able to get a great deal on the 4-pack of pillows, the 2 big pillows, and then the 2 to-go pillows, free shipping when you use the promo code Jamie, mypillow.com/Jamie. Then also you're going to get the Giza Dream Sheets. These are beautiful, wonderful sheets. You're going to get 30% off on these high thread count, coolly sleeping sheets that are as comfy as a day is long, and you are going to absolutely love the Giza Dream Sheets. And these are brought to you by MyPillow at a 30% discount once you go ahead and use my promo code Jamie, mypillow.com/Jamie.
Listen to Allman in the Morning with Alexa. Wake up and say, Alexa, play The Answer St. Louis. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
I get the blues so bad I scare myself. My hair is turning gray so fast. I'm worried about my health, and I shiver all over. I shiver all over.
Good morning this morning. Father Tom on the way. I love this bit here. Remember when we heard about the terrorist attack in Sri Lanka, which now it's just been 300 plus people have died as a result of a holy war, and nobody cares. Well, people care, but there's not an ounce of it in the news anymore. I don't even hear about any more arrests or anything like that. But I did hear at the time when it was actually news, when people cared about it, which was, I think, for about 48 hours. And they talked about the fact that they arrested the wealthy parents of some of the actual bombers. At the time, I said, this just reinforces this blowing out of the myth that poverty causes terrorism, which is baloney. These people hate anybody but Muslims, and that's why they're committing the crimes. So finally, we do have a great piece by Stephen Flatow, and he says it's about time to stop using poverty to justify terrorism because it's not matching up. These people who are committing these acts of terror are coming from usually well-to-do middle-class families. They've grown up in well-to-do middle-class life, and they're highly educated. There's a report that this person cites that found that ISIS terrorists are often highly educated. They're far from being uneducated or illiterate. 69% of the recruits report at least a secondary education. A large fractions have gone on to study at universities. Only 15% left school before high school. Less than 2% are illiterate. These people all know exactly what they are doing. They all know exactly what's going on. They're all highly bankrolled, highly educated, and supported by money that their families have or somebody else's have. So let's just get rid of this idea that somehow just increasing their wealth will help them out, because they already have it.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Attorney General Barr was a no-show this morning before the House Judiciary Committee. Members wanted to ask him more questions about the Mueller report. Barr objected to the format for his testimony that was laid out by Democrats and his failure to appear, prompting the committee chairman, Gerald Nadler, to repeat an earlier threat to hold Barr in contempt of Congress. Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado, he's the latest Democrat to announce he's running for president, seeking the party's nomination in 2020. American worker productivity grew at a solid 3.6% rate in the first quarter of the year. That is the strongest quarterly gain in more than 4 years. And on Wall Street right now, the Dow is down 6 points, while the S&P is up 4. The NASDAQ Composite Index currently 25 points higher. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We've got a little bit of everything out there. 70 westbound, a crash in the acceleration lane at 270. You can see it from the jam cam at 270. We have 94 closed in both directions between Payne Road and Solly Road with flooding in St. Charles County. 270 northbound backed up. Gravois to Manchester. Delays on 55 southbound 64 to the 5544 underpass. 70 eastbound heavy, Route A to 79, and then First Capital to St. Charles Rock, and 70 westbound, your delay there is Shreve to Lucas and Hunt. Traffic is sponsored by Think It Up. Think It Up is a new initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380, The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect through this evening. Cloudy with a couple of showers. Thunderstorm early today, high 69. A passing shower this evening. Otherwise cloudy tonight, low 54. Cloudy with a passing shower tomorrow afternoon, the high 66. And then Saturday, a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise a cloudy day, the high Saturday at 66. I'm Steve Williams with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Hey folks, Allman here. I hope to see you Thursday, May 9th in beautiful Brentwood for Allman and Elder in the evening. That's right, Larry Elder coming to St. Louis, and we're going to wow you from the View 17 stage. And ladies and gents, if you pay $79 for the VIP ticket, what you're going to get in return, free drinks, free food, a free book, a lot like me from Larry Elder, the world-famous book about his dad. He's going to sign that for you. We'll take pictures. We'll take a tour of the beautiful Allman in the Morning studio, and you're going to get a great show from that gorgeous stage. It's Allman and Elder in the evening. Tickets available not only at the VIP level, but also at the general admission level for $13.80 at theanswerstl.com. Allman in the evening, sponsored by my friend Michael Proctor. Proctor Drapery, making shutters great again. ProctorDrapery.com. Proctor, spelled like doctor.
You love that smell, that new truck smell, all cleaned up and ready to go.
Did you get your vent visor?
You know, the rain guard that goes over your window? Stop by Custom Car and Truck in O'Fallon, Illinois for free installation and lifetime warranty on vent visors.
How about your bug shield? You don't want to mess up the hood of your new truck with dead bugs. Keep them off the hood with free installation and lifetime warranty bug shield.
See John and the crew off Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois,
or online at customcarandtruck.com.
It's about with over 100 million video views, singers and viral sensations, the Ball Brothers are the next big thing in Christian music. Come hear them along with the tight, rich harmony of the Taylors at St. Matthew Church in Belleville, Illinois. He goes before me. Friday, May 3rd at 7 p.m. Tickets are $20 in advance and $24 at the door. For further information, visit theballbrothers.com.
This hour of Allman in the Morning is brought to you in part by Dr. Anna Smith, the #1 provider of oral sleep appliances in the United States. Learn more at cpapsucks.com.
Arc Midnight with John B. Wells. We can't describe the show. You just need to listen. Sunday morning at midnight. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
So, Father Tom Miller of Immaculate Heart of Mary there in beautiful Darden Prairie.
New Melly.
Welcome to the show, my friend, first of all.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Jamie.
To begin your regular segment at 9:30 every
I know, that's pretty awesome, so thank you.
It is awesome. So I am at Mass last Saturday and evening, and right after the Eucharist, after communion, this beautiful song came on. This was the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, so there's no real true
nothing better
denomination that owns this song, obviously.
Right.
So this came on as in the aftermath during the after Eucharist prayer. Once you take your communion, you go and you pray. And this came on. It really had an effect on me because it's such a beautiful song, and I hadn't heard it in so long, and I can't. And it just is one of those times where especially after the Eucharist, that this beautiful song came on, and so I did a little research on it and found out who wrote. It was fascinating, but I will tell you that I played this purposely, especially from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, is because when Father Tom is in, we're not only going to talk about Catholicism, for that matter,
right?
Because there are religious elements that span all kinds of different places and things like that. So I figured I wanted to introduce it with this, and it was a beautiful tune, but it actually speaks to more of the ecumenical tone that we take when Father Tom is here. Obviously, Father Tom is a Catholic priest, so we've got all kinds of. I like to talk about that kind of stuff with you, some issues, because I have a question for you about the Catholic Church and about things like that. Because to tell you the truth, my son Aiden, he's 14. Mm-hmm. And I think you might get this out in beautiful Darden Prairie also. And by the way, we were off the air before we went on. Father Tom was regaling me with stories of the big annual sausage dinner out there.
Yeah, it's quite the affair, New Melly. It's outstanding.
What did I say? I said Darden Prairie.
That's okay. They're next door. It's
I know.
St. Charles County is a happy community.
It is. In New Melly. And so and what's great about it is, obviously, because when Father Tom is on Facebook, a lot of people were wondering, okay, so when you say you're heading over to the smokehouse, everybody always wonders, like, what is that? At first, I thought maybe it was Annie Gunn's. I'm thinking, yeah, but that's kind of a
Chesterfield,
long way to go for the smokehouse deal. So it's across the street from the church.
Literally, the Bavarian Smokehouse is right across the street from the rectory where I live.
And they open at 5:30 in the morning.
And they have biscuits, gravy, breakfast sandwiches, scrambled eggs. Yeah. Pretty simple menu.
So obviously, between the sausage dinner at Immaculate Heart of Mary in New Melly, and of course the smokehouse, I'm getting the sense there's a little level of German.
Oh yeah, there's a strong. It was founded by German immigrants from Melly, Germany, in the 1860s.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and so no wonder. I have to see that. I'm sorry, buddy. I've got to get out there, and we're going to have a stein of beer.
Well, that would be great.
Just hang out. I know we've been trying this for a long time.
It's been elusive, but it's coming.
That's what we're going to call it, the miracle beer.
The miracle beer, when it happens, exactly.
Exactly. So let me ask you something. So Aiden, he's 14 years old. He goes to a Catholic high school, goes to a Catholic school, and is now going through the process of confirmation. Mm-hmm. And he is a conservative little man, is what he is, and went to Washington D.C. and came back with everything, "Make America Great Again."
That's great.
And yet he is also very unafraid to kind of speak his mind. He reminds me a lot of my father in that way, not really rebellious, but just inquisitive.
Well, I think we should never be afraid of questions in the faith, because after all, we want to seek deeper understanding, and we want to help other people understand the faith, whatever type of Christian or believer they might be. Questions are not the enemy of what we believe or what is true.
Yes, and so young people oftentimes can be confused because they feel like they're getting mixed messages. And one of the things that Aiden's concerned about, and he can't figure out, is the Pope's stand on immigration, like illegal immigration.
Right.
And Aiden very simply puts it, as a 14-year-old, I admire him to pick up on this, but he can't understand why. Okay, so, and he's kind of the priest who is pushing him through confirmation. He gets into debates with this guy, and not really debates, but he questions it, and they get in discussions about it. He says, well, why does the Pope say we should all have open borders when he lives in a walled city?
Right. I think that's a fair question to ask. Dennis Prager, who comes on later in the day, always asks a simple question: well, do you have a home with doors on it? Do you ever lock those doors?
Right.
Well, it's obvious reasons. We don't live in a world full of wonderful, virtuous people. We live with a very broken humanity. And so you have to use some discernment, who you let into your home, who ultimately you would let into your nation. I mean, we want to be welcoming. Certainly want to do that. We're all children of immigrants, of legal immigrants. And I think that's where you get the real dividing line between people on the right side of the issue and the left side of the issue, is that whole word of legal and illegal, and that there is a difference.
Yeah, and so he's confused by the acceptance of illegality. I mean, that somehow if you, like for instance, he's afraid as a young Catholic man, when he supports a wall, he somehow can be construed as being unchristian, or even actually defying the Catholic Church if he is for that.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, he'll be accused of that.
Yeah.
He should know that.
Yeah.
At the moment you'll be accused of that. But I think that's where you have to get down. You have to talk with people about the nuances of the whole issue. Do we want immigrants? Sure. I mean, we're not opposed to immigration. Do we want to be more deliberate and discerning and thoughtful about it? Absolutely. Both for our sake and for the immigrants' sake.
Yeah.
But there will be people who will malign you the moment you talk about supporting a wall or having any variance other than just uncritical, open immigration.
Right.
Which I'm not in favor of. I mean,
right.
We want to be deliberate about it. We want to be discerning.
Well, where they really get you, though, Father Tom, is when they start to invoke the Bible. And specifically, they will invoke Matthew. And that's where I believe the struggle is for a lot of people, because I've always believed that there's an intention in Matthew regarding the blessed are the poor, blessed
Right.
are those who are below us, in a sense.
And the corporal works of mercy. They come right out of Matthew. The whole sermon that Jesus, the parable he gives on the sheep and the goats. So there's that tradition, and you're absolutely right to be mindful of that. But at the same time, you really, again, we want to use a good thought and reason with this. I think where it gets clouded is because with the whole open borders and kind of open immigration, it seems really good. It seems like a natural good.
Yeah.
And yet we know that, we want to be aware who our neighbors are at all times. We want to love our neighbors, but we want to know our neighbors.
Right. Because what happens is, I've always thought that somehow a governmental construct crisscrosses with the Matthew construct. And I've always believed that actually the intention of Matthew was not to manifest that kind of will into a governmental construct.
You're correct. Personal charity.
Yes.
Is what we're supposed to be doing.
That's what I thought. And I would. And by the way, speaking of charity, the Catholic Charities, for instance, is probably the
immense.
Largest charitable organization in the world. And so that they're living that. And so I think sometimes people, though, confuse that with a governmental law.
Right.
And I'm not quite sure that's really the intent of Matthew.
Correct. It's not.
Okay. Good.
It's not the intent of Matthew. I mean, we're always responsible for personal charity. That we're the ones who are supposed to go out and care for the sick, to visit the prisoner, welcome the stranger, feed the hungry. That is something we personally do, because in doing that, we're serving Jesus.
Right. And so what happens, though, is that, if now it's become like, well, if you don't vote for somebody who wants to redistribute wealth, then you're actually not doing what Jesus would do, because you always get the "what would Jesus do" thing, and everybody seems to know what Jesus would
exactly.
do. Even though sometimes we can only base it on what we've seen before.
Correct. What we read in Scripture, and then the debates we have about that and the discussions about that.
Well, because for the first time that I've been through on Palm Sunday, and that is the reading of the Passion. Mm-hmm. I saw in this particular version this year the discussion of Jesus being one of the crimes against him was that he was urging people not to pay taxes.
No, that's correct. That was a false trumped-up charge against him.
Yeah.
But it was the whole constantly when Jesus is dealing with Pharisees and Sadducees and scribes, they're trying to find ways to corner him, you know, verbally, so that they can convict him. And that's the whole story with the taxes. They asked him if it was lawful to pay tax to Caesar, and he asked, well, whose image is on the coin? Well, Caesar. Give to Caesar what is Caesar. Give to God what is God. Whose image do we bear? We bear God's image. We should give our lives over to God.
Right. Okay. Do you have a problem that you're standing next to a leg lamp? Is that okay?
Oh, no, not at all. If Richard's out there, I hope he's doing well, because Richard always loved the leg lamp on Facebook. He had a thing for the leg lamp.
I noticed that actually, that apparently God has some influence on the actual Facebook picture, on the video and everything else, because it somehow is not in there.
There we go.
There
we go. Hey, I like the stained glass windows.
Over your head. Yeah, right.
Sweet.
Exactly. I mean, so anyway, these are the kinds of things we grapple with, and that's why I think sometimes I wish people wouldn't kind of throw around Jesus for their own political convenience.
Well, it's really kind of surprising. I would say in the last 6 to 10 years, how a lot on the left culturally have become very kind of righteous and self-righteous about things. It's really surprising. And again, these are the same people who also think that abortion is a natural good, that it is something that they're, okay with.
Yeah.
So it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, Laura Ingraham the other night brilliantly described it, and confusingly too, said, I can't figure out how the Democrats and the left are the new moral majority.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know how that, and it happened in the last few years.
Yeah.
Probably the last couple of years of President Obama's, and then they all feel morally superior to President Trump.
Right. So now how do you, as a priest, because I know you guys, man, it's almost like, I'm loosely comparing it to being a police officer, because oftentimes police officers are expected to be the parents, the social workers, the this, the that, the brother, the sister, whatever. But so you, as a pastor, which is really what you are,
correct,
and shepherd, so to speak, you probably have all kinds of people coming to you with all kinds of issues, whatever. Do you have anybody who ever comes to you and wants to talk politics or with you, or how does it work?
I mean, I have a whole clutch of like-minded people I talk to out there in New Melly.
Yeah.
But then, you try to be open to everybody.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think as you look at the political spectrum, what's in the middle and kind of off to the immediate right or left, if we just want to use those words, or you can talk with them. They're people of dialogue. But then you get to the extreme left or the extreme right, and they're very hard to, you really can't dialogue with them much at all.
Right.
But yeah, I have a whole group of people who I pretty much share the same political interest, and I keep that very separated from my preaching and everything in Mass.
Yeah.
But in terms of, but then there's a lot of guys that I know that are probably more on the liberal side. At least they grew up that way because they're union guys. I know a lot of carpenters out there, sheet metal workers, electricians and stuff. And I think one of the things that I've seen, through your show, and that is that base is starting to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is phenomenal, because my dad was a machinist. That was he did his whole life.
Right. Well, because I think we're identifying the idea, if we can just all accept it, that it's kind of like when they ask a question, to a presidential candidate, what are you going to do for white women, or what are you going to do for the union guys? Like, well, the same thing we're going to do for everybody, and that is we want to lift up everyone.
Everybody.
And I think if we understand it and stop always questioning somebody's intent and talk to them on a level of policy, then you get further. Like I could acknowledge, like for instance, my sisters and brothers. I'm probably the only conservative in my family. Actually, I am. But I can still have conversations with them on all kinds of. My mother cannot stand Donald Trump, right? And yet I don't get enough. I can't get enough of being with her. I love being with her and talking with her and doing stuff with her. And a lot of it's just because I know that my mother's politics or whatever might be different when it comes to the actual titles and the actual party labels and that kind of thing.
Right.
But I know that there are Democrats out there who actually have good intentions. They want people to be okay and thrive and do all that kind of thing.
And I think the other thing is this. When you have a relationship with somebody that's not just solely on politics, that doesn't weigh as much as it does when that's really the only thing you ever have to talk about, especially after, the 2016 election. Things became really heated with people whom you loved for years, but the only thing you talked about was you're not going to vote for Trump, are you?
Right.
Man, I think so.
Well, or that message I get, from a relative, like, how could you?
Right.
I was like, wait a minute. Okay, come on.
How could you? Come on, give me a break.
Exactly. And that's, I think, the thing. And we talked about this on the way out the door last week, actually. And a lot of it is about pride.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a sin anyway.
Right. And all of us have it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's lurking under the surface for most of us. And the only time we become aware of it is when it buddies up with anger, which is also a sin, and then it really manifests itself.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, hang loose there. You can call the Tama.com real estate listener line at 844-855-1380 here with Father Tom from the beautiful Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish out there in gorgeous New Melly. And, of course, today the kickoff of his regular 9:30 segment. Something we've always dreamed of having, and now we finally have it. The next step is having the miracle beer, my friend.
Well, that's right.
We'll be back in just a second.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or more importantly, if you sign up for a plan that you're just not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. And MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing program. It's been around for 25 years. They have more than 400,000 members now around the country. And get this, over the years, MediShare members have shared more than $2 billion of each other's medical bills, so they could help share your needs too. And best of all, you could save a lot of money with MediShare. The typical savings for a family is around $500 a month. Your savings could be more or less, but think about what you could do with that extra money every month. So if you think you're stuck with a high-cost health plan that doesn't have much to offer, think again. You can join MediShare anytime, so call them today and check it out. There's no pressure. They're super easy to talk to. 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about dentistry with TLC, and it's all about convenience and care. And so I will tell you that Dr. Anna makes sure that you are so well taken care of. If you go to dentistrywithtlc.com, there's a phone number up there, and a lot of you are writing phone numbers down while you're driving and do whatever. So just go to dentistrywithtlc.com. There's a phone number there. That's actually a text number. And all you have to do is text your issue to that number, and you're going to get a bounce back, and they're going to get you in within 2 days, or you're going to have $50 in the till for the next time you show up, and that's all in advance of your thing. But that's also makes it a priority for Dr. Anna to get you in within that time period. And once you are in, if you texted her that you have your bleeding gums because you're brushing your teeth and you're worried about gum disease, or you need a cavity filled, or you need to have a root canal done, she takes care of that. But if she finds something else while she's doing that, she'll take care of it that very same day, so you don't have to come back. And the root canals are pain-free. They're 10 minutes. The implants are 20 minutes, pain-free again. She has a $19 dental plan for you, which is like an insurance policy for those of you who actually don't have insurance, or your insurance isn't good enough. That $19 includes the exams. That $19 includes 15% off on all the work you happen to have done. So make sure you get in while the getting is good, and she will get you in ASAP. That's the tender love and care and tender love and convenience of Dentistry with TLC. Dentistrywithtlc.com.
KXFN, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Hey, Dad, let's go fishing.
First things first, Sam. I'm taking you to Denny Dennis Sporting Goods.
Does he have live bait?
Yes, live bait.
Cool. Does he have enough reel spooling?
You bet.
Denny Dennis is the man. I want to shake his hand.
Shop local. Head to Denny Dennis Sporting Goods at number 1 Gravois Road in Old Town Fenton, and like Denny Dennis on Facebook to get in on their weekly specials.
Hey, Dad, I caught a really big one.
Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Yes, everybody, back with Father Tom for his regular Thursday edition, where we talk all things mattering to faith. I want to let you know. You can go ahead and turn that down. I appreciate you. I got an email from somebody not too long ago that told me how great you were, and they wanted a regular segment, and I said, ask and you shall receive. So it was very easy. By the way, good news this morning as we saw what happened to the Covington High School students, and we saw what happened to these individuals. Well, now, of course, the teen who was the target of all this,
I read that yesterday,
is suing NBC News. Good. You got to fight back on these things. That was one of the things that was very disappointing, Father Tom, before I get to John's phone call here, is that I was worried those teens were going to feel like they were thrown under the bus by their own church because everybody came out of the woodwork and condemned them.
It certainly seemed that way at the very beginning as it all.
Yeah.
Because as we know, we live in such a reactive age in society, as you well know, and so you did get worried about that. It felt like they were just being isolated, which is what the left always does, and then destroyed and humiliated. Make sure they would, never show their face again anywhere.
Well, and I'm sure within that community, I'm sure they've made the churches
hopefully made some good amends and
that.
let them know, hey, we know what the full picture is, and we're sorry we got caught up in the public reaction to it.
One of the guys who came right out of the blocks, I don't know whether you knew Monsignor Sticca, now Archbishop Sticca there in Lexington, but he came right out of the blocks and then defended the boys.
Oh, well, good.
So it was good.
I'm glad to hear that. I know Monsignor or Bishop Sticca now.
Bishop Sticca, yeah. Good to have a homeboy stepping up there.
That's right.
Hey, John's on line one. John, thanks for calling the show, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. How can we improve the show? You've done it again. Father Tom, what a great addition. I learned more in that last set, what you just said about know your neighbor. I finally have an answer for that question. And, Father, you are the reason I sing at church because you're at Sacred Heart when my wife and I were confirmed. And so now everybody has to hear my ugly voice, thanks to you.
Hey, that's awesome.
Everybody's voice.
Yeah, my voice isn't the greatest either, but I love singing. I love music,
Yes.
church music and secular music.
Right on. So, John, wait. So you were not much of a singer, and then you were inspired in church.
No.
Oh, yeah.
By Father Tom, I actually got spanked for the first time in elementary school because I was lip singing in 6th grade because I was so embarrassed of my voice. I actually got paddled. And anyway, I don't sing real loud, to be honest with you, because my voice probably isn't that good. But as Father Tom said, as I tell my kids, God thinks all our voices are beautiful. And what a beautiful addition to your show. Gosh, Jamie, I just love your show.
Thank you, John. I appreciate your
so
support,
much.
buddy.
Very humbling.
Yeah, well, and thank you, buddy. Well, yeah, singing is a form of prayer.
Oh, absolutely. Like that hymn you had at the beginning when I first came on. That's, hymns always elevate our minds and our thoughts and grab us effectively to really ponder what matters in our life and in our faith.
By the way, speaking of bishops, and I don't know, it's a minute left here, but is Archbishop Carlson leaving, or
he's going to be submitting his retirement soon?
Okay.
Then it's up to the Vatican how they accept it and how that process all unfolds. But yeah, that's coming soon, later this year.
Yeah, so there could be some changes, at least at the higher levels there. But I appreciate the Archdiocese. I know that you all sometimes have to check in and not everybody can be as public, but I really appreciate Archbishop Carlson and the Archdiocese.
Oh, absolutely.
Giving Father Tom the freedom to be on the radio.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for taking the freedom
Sure.
to do it. Thank you for taking it up because you're a strong guy. Love your personality, love your openness, as does everybody else, and certainly have appreciated your support of me throughout this entire time and your prayers for me, my family, and I so appreciate you, buddy. So I'll see you for that miracle burial sooner than later, okay?
All righty.
All right. Father Tom Miller from Immaculate Heart of Mary in New Melle. Have a great day, everybody.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Attorney General William Barr